Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. People are sailing and get lion fruit at the beginning. Chapter 51. Early morning. Sha Luo got up and put on her clothes, then helped Nuo Chigao cover herself with quilt. As soon as I arrived in the lobby, I saw Nami with a smirk on her face. Good guy, this is the surprise you were talking about, right? Selling his sister may also mean that Nokigao was voluntary. I just don't know when these two little girls secretly discussed it. He walked over and tugged on Nami's little face, indicating with his eyes that there would be surprises like this in the future, must be done more often. After breakfast, everyone gathered in the lobby after a long absence and chatted. Sha Luo said that he would stay here for a while and was free without having to sail. However, the daily strength training has not fallen behind. Captain Sha Luo, you said before that Sky Island should have a historical text, right? When can we explore this area? Robin walked over to him and sat down. She was now eager to decipher the historical text. It's just that Sha Luo was delayed yesterday because she had to eat, otherwise she would have wanted to explore the ruins of Apayadon as early as yesterday. The historical text, I seem to remember it being at the bottom of the golden clock. After Robin mentioned it, Sha Luo remembered it. She seemed to have told Robin before that there was a historical text on Sky Island that recorded the address of Poseidon. After so many things happened, he almost forgot about it, but now that Robin reminded him, he simply answered. Although the others were not particularly interested in the historical text, they followed him as soon as they had nothing to do. When they arrived at the place where the golden clock was placed, several people also saw the historical text inlaid at the bottom of the clock. Looking at the huge stone tablet in front of him, Robin was very excited. He stepped forward and touched the surface of the stone tablet, and then carefully interpreted the content. Suddenly she discovered that there was actually a line of words marked on the gold next to it. I came here to take this article to the end of the world. D. Roger. One Piece. Did he also come to Sky Island? Why did he leave such a text? When Robin saw the signature of the text, she was so shocked that she sweated and took 2 steps back. She didn't expect that the historical text was actually related to the Pirate King. What's wrong, Robin? Are you okay? Robin's situation was seen by the other girls, and they couldn't think of anything that could scare each other. Log in to earn coins. Is the content on the stone tablet so exciting? Their curiosity was aroused for a while. When several people came up, they also saw the words engraved on the gold next to the stone tablet, but some of them didn't understand what it meant, because the one piece also had ancient words engraved on it. What does this mean? It seems to be the words engraved on the back. It is not together with the historical text. The women asked curiously. That one was left by Pirate King Galdi. Roger, right, at this time, Sha Luo said. What? The Pirate King? Several women exclaimed in shock, and everyone knew the name of the Pirate King. Captain Sha Luo. Can you also understand ancient texts? Robin asked in surprise. According to Sha Luo's previous description, he had never been to Sky Island. So how did he learn about this passage? It couldn't have been said by Golden Lion, right? I don't understand, but the text is obviously newly engraved, but the historical text is related to the secret of Raftru, and only one person has been to Raftru since ancient times, so I guess it should be left by the Pirate King when he was looking for the historical text. Calm down. Sha Luo said with a smile, as for saying that she learned about it by watching animation. Even if you say it, even a few women can't understand it. It's something that is beyond the concept of this world. After Sha Luo said this, others reacted and understood in an instant. Historical text. Now I can understand why Sister Robin had a very high reward at a young age. Sha Luo, maybe you can really become the new generation of Pirate King. Nami said with some emotion. Robin plays an important role in it. I'm not interested in One Piece or anything like that, I told you. If I want to be, then I want to be the king of the world. Sha Luo said disdainfully. As a time traveler with a system, his vision is much wider than this. He felt that if he was really bored in the future, he would overthrow the world and re-establish order and become the king of the world. Nami and the others did not refute. They had seen Sha Luo's growth. When they entered the Grand Route, they found Sha Luo's words unbelievable. Now it seems that this is likely to come true. The man in front of him has really grown too fast. Robin then made a rubbing of the historical text of Sky Island. Nami and Karina took Sha Luo to accompany them on the treasure hunt. Most of the gold is in Enel's palace, but there is still a lot of gold in the ruins. The Lord of the Sky, Nolan, could only be regarded as a handful in his stomach, but Sha Luo still refused to let go. After a violent beating, he picked up the Lord of the Sky, and then shook it a few times like taking out garbage. Countless relic stones mixed with gold poured out of Nolan's mouth. Apayado is worthy of being known as the land of gold. Sha Luo no longer knows how much gold he has obtained here. I am afraid that he is now richer than the Golden Emperor. Nami and Karina are always smiling in their dreams. Just spent a few days on Sky Island again. Drink. Michita used the umbrella like a sword and hit Nami hard. However, Nami faced this menacing blow with a smile on her face. She flashed behind her with a thunderbolt, and then hit Michita with a powerful electric current. Aha! After being hit, Michita screamed, and then made a hard shaking sound that made people blush. Ha 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 ha, you lost again. Nami laughed triumphantly. Michita looked unwilling to be knocked down, but there was nothing she could do about it. The quantity is too different from Nami. Now that Nami has obtained the Thunder Fruit, she is even more powerful. Just by acquainting Nami with the power of the fruit, she has been defeated countless times. Now Nami can be said to be the strongest fighter in the pirate group except Sha Luo. Although the fight with Karina is evenly matched, they can't hurt each other, but if it is an enemy, Nami's destructive power is stronger. I really don't know why Captain Sha Luo gave you this fruit to eat. The speed of teleportation just now is about the same as Captain Sha Luo. If Captain Sha Luo eats the fruit, wouldn't he become the fastest in the world? A man now. Mikita stood up with a red face and patted her butt. Nami always used this embarrassing move during battles, which made her a little afraid of sparring with Nami. Sha Luo has said before that the fruit has no side effects. He himself also said that he can eat another fruit, but he is not sure whether to eat it yet. After all, lion fruit's ability is already very strong, but the restrictions of seawater and seastone made him hesitate when eating a fruit. PFF, the fastest man. Michita, you really dare to say that? If Sha Luo knows this, you will be the one to eat tonight. Nami spurted out with a puff, looking like she wanted to laugh but couldn't. Probably not, right? Hearing this, Mikita was suddenly startled and broke into a cold sweat, and then looked guiltily at Sha Luo, who was sparring with Reiju. Judging from the focused look on the other side, he probably didn't hear him, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. No, I think this guy Sha Luo must have heard it. After all, he has observation haki. He is now a god. Is there anything else he doesn't know? Seeing Mikita's relieved look, Nami smiled evilly, stepped forward and put his arm around her shoulders. I welcome you to become sisters together, so that you can know how powerful Sha Luo is. Nami raised his eyebrows and said to Mikita, who was already on the verge of crying and looked like she had resigned. But it seems that he is not very resistant to Sha Luo. He must have been impressed by Sha Luo during this period of time. The more Michita thought about it, the redder her face turned. Finally, she transformed into Steam Princess and ran out of the training room. Nami stood there and laughed. These two ladies are really cool. After repelling Reiju's attack, Sha Luo shook her head helplessly. Of course he heard what the two women over there said. He now keeps observation haki on at all times, not passively sensing attacks, but actively listening and sensing the dynamics in Sky Island. Haha, isn't this great? Another crew member has been succeeded by Captain Sha Luo, so will I be the next one? Reiju stopped attacking and chuckled. She was the first crew member on the ship to learn how to see things. Of course, she heard what Nami and others said. However, she had a seductive look on her face when she said the next words, and her movements were also very seductive to show off her figure. Seeing Reiju's feminine and charming look, Sha Luo couldn't help but swallow her saliva. Chance. Suddenly, Reiju accelerated his charge and came to Sha Luo, his palm about to press on his chest. However, Sha Luo grabbed her deep palm, and then a huge force pulled her. Reiju was hugged into his arms with her back against Sha Luo's chest. The arms that were caught were also in a hugging position, holding her tightly and unable to move. Is Captain Sha Luo so impatient? Do you want to possess me now? Reiju didn't panic at all. He revealed half of his face, raised his lips and continued to speak to Sha Luo in a seductive tone. This little goblin really knows how to seduce people. If I don't teach you a lesson today, you still don't know who is in charge of the ship. Sha Luo thought fiercely in her heart, and then moved towards Reiju. Ah! Reiju's pupils shrank instantly, and a trace of panic flashed across her expression. She didn't expect that Sha Luo would really come up to her. Even if Sha Luo had the habit of touching her, she would not force the crew. This was also the key to her confidence in seducing Sha Luo, but she didn't expect that Sha Luo seemed to be serious this time, so she forgot to resist for a while. As time passed, Reiju's eyes became blurred and he seemed to have forgotten that he was here for training. Wow, I didn't expect Sister Reiju to be so bold. Nami on the side couldn't help but exclaimed. She had been watching here for a while, including several other women. Hearing Nami's exclamation, Reiju's eyes suddenly became clear, and then he burst out with such force that even Sha Luo could not react. He immediately broke away from Sha Luo's arms and covered his mouth with a crimson expression. I'm sorry, I'll be here for today's training. You continue. Although he was equally shy, Reiju did not run away like Mikita. Instead, he nodded towards Nami and the others, and then walked out of the training room with elegant steps. I really envy Sister Reiju. Kaya stared at Reiju's back with envy, then looked down at her chest. Wow, when will you grow up? He said in a somewhat low tone that Kaya is only 15 years old now, and Sha Luo said that he is still too young. Kaya-chan, do you really want Captain Sha Luo to pamper you so much? Vivi also said with a blush on her face. Although she is more precocious, Vivi is actually 1 year younger than Kaya and is only 14 now. Vivi-chan, you are so awesome. Kaya's face also turned crimson. Since the two were the youngest crew members on the ship, they quickly became good friends and talked about everything. Vivi also noticed Kaya's admiration for Sha Luo. Sha Luo glanced at everyone present, and it seemed that everyone had lost the training atmosphere. He shrugged and walked out of the training room. He happened to be a little hungry and went out to have a meal. But while Sha Luo was having lunch leisurely at Sky Island, what he didn't know was that the Qinghai world below had exploded. Headlines from world economic newspapers. Shocking. The true identity of Sha Luo, the strongest bounty hunter in the East Blue, is actually a disciple of the legendary pirate, Golden Lion, Shiki. Sha Luo actually tricked all the marine executives into pretending to be her identity. As the strongest bounty hunter in East Blue, who once hunted pirates finally going to become a pirate. Shocking. Nico Robin, the son of the devil, actually met Golden Lion too, Sha Luo. Is that kind of relationship? Nico Robin officially joins Sha Luo. The former crew of the Flying Pirates announced that they are looking for the location of Sha Luo. We welcome the return of the young master. The first half of the Great Line. On an unknown island in the paradise. Crocodile, who was holding a cigar and still wrapped in bandages, looked at the newspaper in his hand with a gloomy expression. Nico Robin, what a cunning woman. Is this man your next host? HMPH, sooner or later I will defeat him and become the Pirate King. Ha! Crocodile threw away the newspaper and turned around to leave in a certain direction. The news did not affect him. It can be said that he has been awakened and regained his original intention. He wants to regain his strength, and then climb to the top of the sea to become the king. New World. Dressrosa, in the royal palace on King's Heights. Looking at the newspaper in his hand, Doflamingo had a strange evil smile on his face. Foo. Golden Lion too. It's really interesting. You have been hiding your identity before, and now it is exposed. What is your purpose? Ha, this sea is getting more and more interesting. Quote. He had been paying attention to this person since Sha Luo defeated Crocodile, and then ordered his subordinates to find information about Sha Luo, but he did not expect that the other party seemed to appear out of thin air. Apart from his own exposure of living on a desert island for 5 years, there are only things he experienced after his debut. It was as if any information from the past did not exist, which also attracted the attention of the king of the underground world. In the marshal's office at Naval Headquarters, Marshal Sengoku was sitting at his desk with his 2 old friends, Bump. Morgans, where did he put Marine's face? Sengoku was banging on his desk. The reason was because the World News Agency reported the incident of Sha Luo teasing Marine executives. Ha 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 ha, everyone was tricked by this brat. Garp laughed unbridled, not forgetting to stuff the senbei in his mouth. Garp, don't talk nonsense here. What you need to do now is to stop these evil signs. He was able to compete with Admiral just after his debut, and successfully escaped from Aokiji. This kid will definitely be Marine's enemy in the future. Garp always managed to irritate Sengoku at the right time. What we need to consider now is how to capture this kid. From Aokiji's description, we can know that he has a special physique like Charlotte Linlin and Kaido. The ordinary Vice Admiral no longer poses a threat to him. Only Admiral has the strength to capture him, but this kid inherited Golden Lion's lion fruit by some means. Marine has no power against the Air Force. If Golden Lion's old troops really find Sha Luo, they will definitely constitute a powerful threat. Crane Vice Admiral calmly analyzed the situation. Indeed, as she said, Golden Lion's old department not only had many powerful pirates, but also had its own scientific research team. This is a force that cannot be ignored. If Sha Luo really gets the support of these people and allows him a certain period of time to grow, a new emperor may appear on the sea again, and the balance of the sea will also be affected. Break in. Originally, if Sha Luo could enter the New World, he would definitely experience a battle between dragons and tigers. New World's territory is already saturated. If Sha Luo wants to gain a foothold, she will inevitably clash with big pirates from all sides. In this way, Marine can also profit from the dog-eat-dog approach and eliminate more pirates. But the problem is that Sha Luo does not need to acquire territory in the New World at all. He is a mobile fortress. All the territories do not need to be fixed in the air and no one can figure out his whereabouts. Alas, now we can only issue a reward order. Sengoku sighed, and it was currently impossible to send a Marine Admiral to capture Sha Luo. The Marine Admiral had its own mission, and capturing Sha Luo could not be completed in a day or two. With this kid's strength and what he did in East Blue, there should be at least 600 million in bounty. Crane Vice Admiral thought about Kaido. Is the initial bounty of 600 million belly too high? Sengoku surprised Kaido. No, it's just right. If he and the old members of the original Flying Pirates in New World. The rendezvous is the most troublesome. The first time the bounty is 600 million, it is estimated that even the big shots in the second half will not be able to sit still, and they will definitely invite this kid to join. Quote, with this kid's character, it is absolutely impossible for him to join those guys. By then, our goal will be achieved. Crane Vice Admiral explained the reason in one breath, and Sengoku also understood her purpose. To kill. With the high bounty on his head, all the forces will pay attention to Sha Luo. The little pirates will definitely be dissatisfied and continue to harass Sha Luo. The big pirates will not give up recruiting such a newcomer. If the recruitment fails, Sha Luo will also offend those forces. Okay, let's do it. The criminal Sha Luo destroyed the 16th branch of the East Blue Marine and killed Colonel Rat and 2,000 Marines. They protected the criminal Nico Robin. A reward of 600 million belly is now offered. In the end, Sengoku decided to offer a reward of 600 million to Sha Luo. Sha Luo, on the other hand, was having fun on Sky Island at the moment, completely unaware that Marine had issued a bounty on her. I saw Sha Luo lying in his palace, his head resting on Lackey's thigh, and Canis was serving him next to him. A few days ago, Wappa and Gon 4 came to Sha Luo's palace and brought a group of Sky Island girls with them, saying that they wanted to be Sha Luo's maids to the gods. Of course, the upright Sha Luo refused their kindness. However, they still refused to give up. As gods, how could they not have their own maids of gods? They insisted on forcing these girls over. Helpless, Sha Luo could only choose Canis and Sandia's lackey as her maids, and let them take the other girls back. Seeing Sha Luo choose 2 girls, Wappa and Gon 4 were relieved, and then the girls left the palace with somewhat disappointed eyes. And Sha Luo was not used to being served by others at first, but after a few days, she became more accustomed to being served by others. I have to say, it smells really good. Lord God, ah. Lackey held a peeled grape and handed it to Sha Luo's mouth. The latter opened his mouth and ate it. Well, mixed with the aroma of a girl and the sweetness of grapes, it's delicious. It's so delicious. Ding, the sign-in system has detected the target Sky Island. Do you want to check in the target? Wow. Sha Luo suddenly sat up and finally came. This move also shocked Canis and Lackey next to her. Lord Kami, what happened? Is Canis too strong? Canis said with some panic. Just now he was beating Sha Luo's calf, and the latter suddenly sat up. She thought it was her problem. No, it's okay. Nothing to do today, I want to listen to some songs. Sha Luo waved her hand to signal Canis not to be nervous, and then lay back down again. After receiving the order, Canis also took out his harp and started playing, while Lackey massaged Sha Luo's brain to relax her. Sign in. At this time, Sha Luo restored the system. Ding, get martial arts Wing Chun. Ding, get observation hockey experience pack. Ding, get 20% death resistance. Death resistance. Sha Luo's pupils shrank instantly. Is death resistance the death resistance he understood? He quickly opened the system panel to check the description of its death resistance. When the death resistance reaches 100%, the host will not die, and no means in this world can kill the host. The current resistance is 20%. The host will have a death resistance halo once every year. When the host dies, a layer of resistance halo will be consumed to resist it. And the host's physical strength will return to its peak state. What a magical skill. As long as he reaches 100% resistance, what kind of undead creature Kaido? He is just a younger brother in front of him. He is pretending to be immortal, but I am really immortal. Coupled with the defensive power of the steel balloon, no one in this sea will be his opponent, not even the mysterious I am. The surprise came so suddenly that even his face showed an ecstatic smile unconsciously. This death resistance can be said to be the best reward after steel balloon and lion fruit. Compared with the rewards obtained by the other two, they are not worth mentioning. Observation hockey, as usual, was promoted to a small stage, and then another reward. At this time, a black question mark appeared on Sha Luo's head. I do Wing Chun in One Piece. With my physique in the world of One Piece, I can use this kind of boxing, and the effect should be pretty good, right? Suddenly an idea popped into Sha Luo's mind. What would be the result if Robin learned martial arts? Ultimate's weapon color plus flower fruit plus martial arts. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. Robin has more than just 4 hands. He can even manifest arms as big as giants. He even imagined Robin saying something before the fight started. Wing Chun, Nico Robin. It's a bit exciting just thinking about it, but this just makes up for Sha Luo's lack of physical skills. This technique can also be learned by other girls, and overall it's pretty good. It was a fruitful day, and Sha Luo rested her head on Lackey's thigh happily. Hey, Sha Luo, look at this. At this time, Nami hurried over, holding a newspaper in his hand. What's wrong, Nami? Do you have any new information? Sha Luo's lazy and enjoyable face with a bit of a lewd smile came into Nami's eyes, which made her furious. But she didn't know that Sha Luo was smiling at the reward she had just received. You will enjoy it. Something big is happening in Qinghai down there. You can see for yourself. Nami threw a newspaper to Sha Luo. Due to the breakthrough in Michita's fruit ability, it not only affects itself, but also the people next to it can eliminate gravity. Not even Sha Luo has this ability. As expected, the development direction of each fruit is different. Michita can act on other people's bodies to eliminate gravity. This made Nami want to find out what happened after the battle between Sha Luo and Aokiji a few days ago. She didn't expect that such a big thing would happen after arriving in Qinghai. What? Let me see. Sha Luo picked up the newspaper and scanned it carefully. New Sky Pirates, Captain, Sha Luo, no matter life or death, bounty, 600 million Baileys. The largest page image in the newspaper is Sha Luo's instant kill at the Arlong base. That photo of the other person. In the photo, he holds his palms in vain, showing an arrogant look, looking at him like an ant, and a sense of dominance arises spontaneously. Not bad, quite handsome. Sha Luo looked at his handsome face carefully and kept praising him. What? You have a reward of 600 million. Do you know how crazy the situation below is? Countless pirates are scrambling to find you. A little-known guy suddenly received such a high reward. Countless people are trying to step on you to get the upper hand. Instead, Nami explained to Sha Luo anxiously. Haha, they are just clowns. Come as they come. They will not be my opponents anyway. Sha Luo smiled disdainfully and didn't pay attention to the small characters who came to challenge her. This time is different. I heard that even the 4 emperors intend to invite you and have sent people to look for you. 4 emperors. It's a bit interesting, but as long as the 4 emperors don't come forward, no one else is my opponent, so there's no need to worry. Sha Luo signaled Nami to be calm, and he would be in the way if something happened. Nami was helpless when she saw his confident look, and then she covered her head and walked away. Nami, wait a minute. Sha Luo stopped her. What's wrong? I still have to practice. Nami looked at him with some confusion, wondering what else he had going on. We estimate that we will have to stop sailing for a while. I have an important place to visit. Sha Luo said with a serious expression. Is it an important place? Is it dangerous? Seeing Sha Luo being so serious, Nami became serious unconsciously. She knew that Sha Luo wouldn't make any jokes, there must be something big going on. It's not dangerous, but this time I may be away for a long time. Sha Luo thought about Kaido for a while. Then when will you leave? Tomorrow. Then Sha Luo stood up, picked up Nami, and walked back to the hall, notifying others that she would be leaving for a while. During this period of time, they will stop sailing and let the girls improve their strength on Sky Island. Several women began to ask Sha Luo where she was going. Only then did Sha Luo take care of your own problems. As early as Alabasta, Sha Luo would feel extremely hungry and her body was in urgent need of energy replenishment. Even if he eats a lot of food every day, he can't be satisfied. He feels that he is getting closer and closer to the situation like his aunt. If he is not satisfied, I'm afraid he will suffer from Syria similar to Auntie's. His body kept telling him urgently that he needed energy and that he needed to evolve. Ever since, Sha Luo thought of the islands where Usopp had practiced for 2 years, the Bow Islands. The archipelago looks like a flower, but is actually several carnivorous plants floating on the sea, called the Baron of the Stomach. But there are countless attractive plants growing deep in the island, and the fragrance also attracts sea beasts and sea kings. It can be said that it is a captive replica of the world of delicious food. Sha Luo wants to go to that archipelago to complete her evolution and break through the currently undeveloped steel balloon physique. After hearing Sha Luo's explanation, the women were shocked. It turned out that this was the reason for Sha Luo's increasing appetite. No wonder Nuo Chigao and the others worked hard to make food. They were so tired that they couldn't keep up with Sha Luo's consumption speed. Then he understood the meaning of Sha Luo's stop sailing, but he was a little worried. Don't worry, don't you know my strength yet? There is nothing on the island that can threaten me. I can easily destroy a few small islands. Sha Luo used a relaxed and comfortable attitude to calm the emotions of the girls, saying that there was no problem. However, the women were more worried about Sha Luo's physical condition. Great strength always comes with risks, and Sha Luo's risk is that she needs to constantly eat to replenish energy and break through the body's limitations. We understand, you must be careful, we are waiting for you here. Nami said in a gentle tone with a tender face. This man has been giving to them and helping them. Now all she can do is what a good wife and mother should do, which is to wait for his return. After all, they can't help at all now. While it was still early, Sha Luo began to teach several girls Wing Chun, armament hockey and other related knowledge so that they could practice when she was not here. Night, Sha Luo comforted Nami, Karina and Nuochi who were in high spirits. Mikita, who was in high spirits before, was also taken down by Sha Luo. Regarding this matter, Nami is still very happy. She can share the firepower, and she also gets great satisfaction. Night, Sha Luo did not go to the Boeing Islands in the First World, but went to the world-famous shipbuilding Holy Land, the capital of Seven Waters. The city of Seven Waters is a city that has existed for more than 1,000 years. Even if it is inundated by tsunamis called water gods, every year, it has not destroyed the island's economy and people. It is still a very prosperous island to this day. 800 years ago, the shipbuilders here joined forces to build the most evil battleship, Pluton Preto, in history. Tom, who once built Oro Jackson for Roger the Pirate King, invented a sea train that can travel on the sea. Finally, the people here finally no longer feared the water gods. The current mayor of the Seven Waters City is a disciple of Master Tom and the president of the most famous shipbuilding company here, Carrera, Ace Bagu, also known as Iceberg. That night, Bingshan was still dealing with affairs in the Seven Waters capital. As the mayor, he had countless busy affairs every day. Most of the matters of the shipbuilding company were left to his subordinates to manage. That is Rob Lucci, the undercover agent of CP9 and now one of the top 5 foremen of Carrera Company. Wah wah wah. Bingshan, who was doing office work in the study room at home, suddenly discovered that the window was open somehow, and there was a roaring sound from the wind. Bingshan stopped writing in his hand, stood up and walked towards the window. The city outside was still brightly lit, and it was a very beautiful night scene. After taking a deep breath of the fresh air outside the window, he closed the window again and sat back at his desk. Your Excellency, why did you come to see me? Bingshan, who had lowered his head to write the information again, did not raise his head, but suddenly said to the empty study room. Bang bang bang. As expected of Master Tom's disciple, his perception is really sensitive. He actually discovered my existence. Sha Luo clapped her hands and walked out of the shadows of the room. After Bingshan saw Sha Luo's face, his pupils shrank suddenly, and then returned to their usual more natural state. You are joking. With your strength, it would be easy for me to not notice it, right? Golden Lion to Sha Luo. Bingshan revealed Sha Luo's identity. But it's not surprising. After all, Sha Luo is now in the limelight, and people big and small in the world are paying attention to him, so it's hard for anyone not to recognize him. Hee hee. Sha Luo chuckled without refuting, then walked to the sofa and sat down naturally, as if she was at home. I wonder what Mr. Sha Luo wants from me. Bingshan was a little confused about his thoughts, so he asked tentatively. Your Excellency, Bingshan is a disciple of Tom, the world's master shipbuilder. Of course I am here to build ships. Shipbuilding. Wouldn't it be better to contact my shipbuilding company? Your Excellency, Sha Luo went there in person, maybe because he has other matters, right? Bingshan was a little confused. Since it was shipbuilding, he should contact the shipbuilding company, and why did Sha Luo come to see him? Although he is a disciple of Master Tom, he has not built a ship for a long time, and the shipbuilding skills of his men are not bad, they are all first class. No, I want Mayor Iceberg to secretly help me build a ship, but I don't trust your men. Sha Luo didn't pay attention to Bingshan's doubts. Instead, she went to the side and poured herself a cup of hot tea. Mayor Bingshan, I'd better take a look at the shipbuilding drawings of the ships I need first. Then Sha Luo threw away the super battleship design drawing he obtained from Nami. Bingshan picked up the super battleship design drawing on the table and looked at it carefully. This is. Bingshan's hands were trembling slightly, and there was no concealed expression of surprise on his face. How did you get this blueprint? Bingshan shouted in an almost hoarse voice. You don't have to worry about it. Mayor Bingshan just needs to tell you whether it can be built. Sha Luo took a sip of the hot tea in her hand and said leisurely. Your Excellency Sha Luo, I am sorry that I cannot build this battleship for you. It is because I am not capable enough and the structure of this ship is too complicated. Bingshan glanced at the leisurely Sha Luo, then looked at the super battleship design drawing in his hand, gritted his teeth and rejected Sha Luo's request. Don't be too busy refusing. I know the secret you are guarding, Mayor Iceberg, the secret about Pluton Preto. Sha Luo's expression remained unchanged, and she spoke words that made Bingshan's expression change. Pluton, Your Excellency, you are joking. How can I have secrets related to Pluton? I am really not capable enough to build this battleship. At this time, Bingshan was breaking out in a cold sweat, but he still rejected Sha Luo with his original attitude. Haha, Pluton's design drawing is also in the hands of another disciple of Master Tom. It's your junior brother, the reformer Frankie, right? And I know Frankie's location. Quote. You don't want anything to happen to your junior brother, right? Mayor Bingshan. As soon as Sha Luo said this, Bingshan slumped down on the chair, his expression stunned and his mouth opened wide. No one should know about his relationship and secrets with Frankie. Why did Sha Luo know this matter so well? Bingshan couldn't figure it out. And I can tell you that in fact, your foreman Kaku and foreman Rob Lucci, including your secretary Khalifa, are actually agents from world government CP9. World government has already noticed you and sent agents to explore Pluton. It's a secret. The things I said are enough to express my sincerity, Mayor Bingshan. Then Sha Luo once again dropped a bombshell that shocked Bingshan, who was also shocked and speechless. Not only does he know about Pluton, but he also knows the identity of the undercover agent placed by CP9 here. What made him unbelievable the most was that the person he had trusted for 5 years was actually an undercover agent of CP9. He was a little suspicious at first, but Sha Luo's expression and words did not seem to be fake, and he thought about the weird things about the three of them. Move. In the end, Bingshan also came to a fact that he had not dared to think about before, that is, he had been targeted and placed undercover. What now? Can Mayor Bingshan agree to my request for shipbuilding? Sha Luo's seemingly questioning tone actually made it a certainty. Bingshan would definitely not dare to expose the secret that he had always guarded to the death. After Bingshan thought about it for a while, he suddenly looked up at Sha Luo. Your Excellency Sha Luo, I can agree to help you build this battleship, but I also have a condition. Tell me about it. Sha Luo looked at him with a playful look. I hope to get your help. If people from the world government really attack Frankie in the future, I want your chance to take action. And I hope that Your Excellency Sha Luo can help secretly deal with CP9's undercover agents. Bingshan said solemnly. Sha Luo glanced at him in surprise. Is that all? But what Sha Luo didn't know was that with his current weight, he could escape from Marine Admiral without any injuries, and he also had the strength to compete with Marine Admiral for a period of time. For a big pirate with a bounty of 600 million, the opportunity to attack a person of this level is extremely rare. For a person of Bingshan's level, this is true. No problem, I can promise you anything, but let's not rush the CP9 undercover matter for now. Dealing with it so hastily will also attract the attention of the world government. I will help you deal with these things in the future. Now you can use them safely and boldly. They will not expose their identities prematurely in order to obtain Pluton's secrets. Sha Luo agreed to Bingshan's request immediately. These were all trivial matters to him. There is one more thing I want to ask Your Excellency. After seeing Sha Luo agree, Bingshan breathed a sigh of relief and then asked another question. You say? Sha Luo was also a little confused. She couldn't think of anything else Bingshan could ask about herself. It is said that shipbuilders in ancient times built the super battleship Pluton. Because Pluton's destructive power is too powerful, shipbuilders in later generations tried to resist the possibility of harming the world after bad guys obtained Pluton. So countless shipwrights gathered together to build a super battleship that could rival Pluton. This design drawing by Mr. Sha Luo should be the design drawing produced by countless shipwrights, right? Bingshan's expression is very serious. Sha Luo's design drawing can be said to be no less than the Pluton design drawing, and it is easier to understand the structure above. Frankie said that Robin might be the one who could awaken Pluton. Although he didn't quite understand what it meant, Sha Luo guessed that using Pluton might be related to ancient writing. The design drawings given by Sha Luo do not need to be so troublesome. If the materials are enough, it can even reach the point of mass production. Who knows, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Sha Luo's answer is more intriguing. After all, this is something given by the system, and I don't know where it comes from. Whether it is or not is entirely up to Bingshan to guess. Is that so? I understand. Bingshan closed his eyes, as if he understood something, but Sha Luo was confused. What did he understand? He didn't understand anything. Does Your Excellency Sha Luo have any other requirements for this battleship? Then Bingshan asked Sha Luo's other requirements. When building a ship, you still need to ask the needs of the ship owner first, otherwise it will not work if you just build a ship that is not to your liking. In addition to the large sailing ship, I also need you to build entertainment facilities on it, and replace the energy requirements for energy acceleration with electrical energy, and all the artillery with electrical energy requirements. It shouldn't be difficult for Mayor Bingshan to modify the energy device in the blueprint to store electrical energy, right? Sha Luo thought about it carefully, and it seems that apart from the fact that the boat is big enough and has enough entertainment facilities, there are no other requirements. But Nami's electricity can be put to good use. Not only can it float in space and jet to accelerate, but it can also gather all the electric energy and fire out electromagnetic cannons. It's quite powerful when you think about it. The electromagnetic gun fired by a battleship that can compete with Pluton is rated as Bingshan. How can it be said to be capable of destroying an island? By the way, I want you and your junior brother to build this ship yourself, and it must be very secretive so that no outside world can know about it. Sha Luo suddenly made another request as if she suddenly remembered something. Bingshan frowned. There was no problem in secretly building, but his junior brother. Although they trusted each other in their hearts, Bingshan still couldn't bear to invite that junior brother who he usually didn't deal with very well. But since it was Sha Luo's request, he had no choice but to agree. I understand. Let's talk about the deposit, how to build a big ship. Bingshan nodded and agreed, and then started talking about the money needed to build the ship, but before he could finish, the scene in front of him shocked him so much that his jaw dropped. Sha Luo suddenly took out a large gold nugget from nowhere. The gold nugget was even taller than him. It was only a complete large piece of gold. Even the iceberg was the first time he had seen it. This. Bingshan was so shocked that he was a little incoherent and could only stammer to express his shock. Ha ha ha, my ship must use the best materials. You should have Baoshu Adams channels. The money should be enough to buy the materials for building the ship, right? The rest will be your reward. Sha Luo laughed heartily. He likes to give others a little shock. It's really interesting to see other people's jaw-dropping facial expressions. This kind of gold nugget can only be said to be a drop in the bucket in Sky Island's Apaya. Enough, you gave too much. Bingshan has not yet recovered from the shock, and he still stutters a bit when speaking. Ha ha ha, I said, the rest is your reward, you're welcome. It may take some time for me to come back to get this ship. I'm not sure about the specific time yet. Anyway, after it's built, I'll ask Mayor Bingshan to help keep it. Sha Luo stood up, hugged Bingshan's shoulders and patted her, as if I was optimistic about you. Bingshan was even a little ashamed, thinking, has Sha Luo always had such a bold and unrestrained personality? But it doesn't look bad either. Then I'll leave first, and then I'll ask Mayor Bingshan. Goodbye. Seeing that the matter had been negotiated, Sha Luo no longer disturbed Bingshan to handle matters. He left a phone caller behind, waved his hand at him and left the study. Golden Lion too. What an incredible man. Looking at the empty room, Bingshan was stunned and murmured. He doesn't have the courage of a strong man, but looks very carefree and bold in his actions. But he also has a strong mind and is not the silly type. On the other side, Sha Luo, who left Bingshan's study room, headed towards the Boeing Islands at full speed. The previous small sailboat Sha Luo still felt too small. Now that I have the design drawings of a super battleship, I want to build a battleship that is truly my own. From now on, you can go out in a more stylish way instead of holding on to that little sailboat. 2 days later, after crossing the sea for an unknown amount of time, Sha Luo finally arrived at the Bajo Islands. Is this the Boeing Islands, known as the Lotus on the Sea? We're finally here. Sha Luo looked down at the 5 islands that looked like giant flowers and couldn't help but sigh. Flying in the sky, he saw a more comprehensive view. The island really looked like a blooming lotus, and there was a huge circle in the center, which was the mouth of the Baron of Stomach. This sea area was exuding an unparalleled aroma of delicious food, and at the same time, the wind also carried the aroma to the sky. Sha Luo sniffed it with her nose. Cuckoo. Sha Luo felt hungry again, and then plunged into one of the islands. Oh, it's such a nice island. It feels like you are really a prisoner of delicious food. Looking at the meaty fruits on the trees in front of me and the spaghetti flowers blooming on the roadside grass, I picked a large piece of meat and ate it. The aroma is overflowing, and it doesn't look like it grew naturally. Instead, it looks like it was cooked by a senior chef. High-end ingredients often require only the simplest cooking methods, but the ingredients on this island require no cooking at all. Sha Luo was immediately addicted to this food paradise, eating faster and faster, swallowing it without even chewing. Sha Luo was enjoying his meal when he felt a sudden itching on the top of his head. When he looked up, he saw that a man-eating plant was gnawing hard on his head. However, even if he bit his teeth to pieces, he could not break the defense. Sha Luo, who was addicted to food, did not even notice the feeling of ants crawling on her body. After knocking down the man-eating plant with one punch, he stood up and glanced at the eyes faintly revealed in the surrounding grass. Sha Luo glared, exuding a powerful aura, and the carnivorous plants fled instantly. They did not understand how the originally harmless food suddenly turned into a higher creature standing at the top of the food chain. After frightening the lower creatures here, Sha Luo was not disturbed anymore, and after eating most of the food nearby, Sha Luo began to look for a food paradise on the island. After more than 10 minutes of fast movement, Sha Luo accidentally kicked a piece of fragrant meat and rolled it into the grass. After pushing aside the grass, I was stunned by the scenery in front of me. What appeared in his eyes was a ramen waterfall, with eggs and fish slabs bigger than him, countless rock-sized grapes and fruits, and huge chunks of bone and meat growing on trees. Then I'll start. Sha Luo showed a bright smile, then rushed directly to the ramen waterfall and ate to her heart's content. After finding the legendary gourmet paradise, Sha Luo can finally open up her stomach and satisfy this bottomless pit here. 2 years later, Sha Luo walked out of a deep pit. At this time, his size had increased to 10 meters. Judging from some of the sauce left in the pit, we can tell that some delicacies were once grown here. Has the body finally evolved? Sha Luo looked at his soaring body size and his stomach that no longer felt hungry. Huge power filled his entire body. Boom, boom. Sha Luo's figure disappeared, leaving a big hole where she originally stood. The body seemed to feel no resistance, and the force pushed Sha Luo hundreds of meters into the air. After the power disappeared, it was pulled back to the ground by gravity again. There was another earth-shattering roar, and the birds and beasts were frightened and fled quickly. Although it was only 10 meters in size, it made another big hole in the ground. Sha Luo stood up and whipped up a gust of wind with a wave of his hand, hitting the tree and knocking it around. This power is really good. Sha Luo looked at the movement caused by waving her hand, and then withdrew her hand, extremely satisfied with the evolution of her body. Then he opened his own panel to view the properties after a long absence. Host: Sha Luo. Strength: S+. Agility: S. Spirit: S. Skills: Kendo A+, Armament Hockeys, Observation Hockeys, Conquerors. Heikia: Marine 6 Styles Shaving, Moonwalk, Tempest Kick, Hairspray Hands, Fire of Sin, Wing Chun, Death Resistance 20%. Fruit Ability: Lion Fruita Plus. Talent: Steel Balloon. Equipment: Deadwood, Sakura 10. The attributes of the body have grown to S level, the two-color hockey has also reached S, and the fruit development ability is also good. Sha Luo feels that she is on the verge of awakening. Now, he feels that if he fights Aokiji again, he will not run away in embarrassment like before. If he meets Aokiji again, Sha Luo will beat him into pieces. Then he closed his eyes and felt the condition of his body. His body shape continued to shrink, and he didn't open his eyes again until he returned to his original height of 2 meters. Ha, this archipelago is so wonderful. It's a pity that we can't move it, Sha Luo said regretfully while looking at the forest of this food paradise. There was nothing here at this time, and all the food was turned into energy for Sha Luo's body. The botanic islands are carnivorous plants, which attract sea beasts to come to the islands to eat, and then eat them all to replenish nutrients on the plants on the islands. This has also created many strange plants. If the islands are forcibly taken away, the stomach baron will not be able to eat a large number of sea beasts in the sea to replenish nutrients, and the islands will die as a result. However, in the future, he can come to this archipelago frequently to purchase goods, and Sha Luo also plans to transplant some special plants back. For example, there are some very large grapevine species and large trees that can grow ham. Even if you can't farm, you can still give a few girls a taste. After leaving this island, Sha Luo flew to a food paradise that had grown again on another island. Then he filled the storage space with ingredients, and then removed some plants from their roots. Obito removed them. A huge continuous pipe was found at the base of the tree. This pipe that looks like a vine is probably a special channel for the Baron of Stomach to regurgitate nutrients. Since the space cannot hold the creatures, Sha Luo can only use lion fruit to carry it with her. Flying over the White Sea, I was not afraid of lack of supplementary water and sunshine, so I rushed back to Sky Island at full speed. Sky Island. Today's God's Island is Longyu Island. At this time, Nami and Nokigao, who had long hair reaching their waists, were sitting on beach chairs by the swimming pool. Oh, That guy has been gone like this for 2 years without any news. Is he coming back? Nami said with a hint of sadness and longing on her face. Well, Sha Luo also said that this time he will completely solve his body's problems. Question, with his strength there won't be any danger, just wait. Quote. Although Nuo Chigao also missed Sha Luo, he still responded to Nami with a gentle tone. Ha, I don't care. If this guy doesn't come back, then I'm going to go down and find him. We also have the record pointer of the Boeing Islands. I'm going to see how long it will take for this guy to evolve. Suddenly Nami seemed to have made up her mind, with a determined expression on her face. She has been waiting for too long, and her strong longing made her eager to see Sha Luo, tell him her longing, and then squeeze him dry. I also agree with this proposal. Now that we are strong enough to sail the sea, it is no longer a problem. Even if we encounter Admiral, we will not be afraid at all. It is time to find our captain. At this time, Karina walked up to Nami and the others with a glass of iced drink, then sat on a beach chair and began to bask in the sun. In the swimming pool, Kaya, Vivi and Mikita were playing. Reiju was sitting by the swimming pool looking at them with a smile, and Robin was quietly reading a book under the umbrella. Everything looked so harmonious. Today was a rare day for a few people to relax together. Everyone wore bikinis and went to the pool to relax. In the past 2 years, they have not given up on exercising their strength. But we also relax and play together every once in a while, and everyone gets together to have fun. Hehehehe, since he won't come back, let's go over and give him a surprise. Karina covered her mouth and let out a unique laugh. A malicious look flashed in her eyes, as if she was planning something. Sha Luo really took too long this time, and even she missed him very much. At this moment, several people suddenly felt a breath of life energy coming from the sky. In the past 2 years, they had become proficient in observation hockey and were very familiar with each other's scents. The sudden appearance of a strange yet familiar scent made them stunned. Then the women looked up one after another, and what they saw was indeed Sha Luo's smile that was a little bit embarrassing. Hi, beauties, do you mind adding one more person? Sha Luo smiled and waved hello to them before landing slowly. Longyu Island is still the same as it was before. The orange trees transplanted from Nami's hometown have matured and bear fruit again. The road here is also spotless. It can be seen that there are often people cleaning the environment here. Luo, HMPH, you captain, why are you back here? The moment she first saw Sha Luo, Nami's eyes filled with excitement, but she held it back. Thinking about the 2 years of waiting, she shook her head and snorted. But judging from Nami's full of longing, it was just pretending. Sha Luo smiled and walked to Nami, stretched out her hand and pulled the girl into her arms. Nami finally couldn't help but hug Sha Luo tightly. You idiot, you really made us wait for a while. If you don't come back, we will go and capture you. Our strength is very strong now. After Nami slapped the other person's chest and complained, she showed him a very strong posture. Haha, I know, I miss you so much after not seeing you for so long, Nami-chan. Now that my physical problem has been taken care of, I will never leave you again. Sha Luo touched Nami, who had long hair reaching her waist. Nami now was completely different from 2 years ago, not only in terms of strength, but also her hair had grown longer. Just 2 years ago, Sha Luo made a joke, saying that Nami would be very beautiful if she had long hair. This sentence made girls think that Sha Luo likes long hair, and then several girls started to grow their hair. First, Nami, Nokigao and Karina all grew their hair long to their waists. Kaya was also influenced and started to grow her hair long. Now only Reiju and Michita have short hair. At a glance, Sha Luo saw that the original youthfulness of girls had faded away, but now the fruits have matured. Seeing the longing and excitement in the eyes of the girls, Sha Luo patted Nami's waist. The latter also understood. After all, he couldn't occupy it by himself for too long. When Nami left Sha Luo's arms, the first one to pounce on her was Kaya. Brother Sha Luo, I miss you so much. Kaya kept rubbing Sha Luo's chest. As the first crew member to board the ship, her feelings for Sha Luo were no worse than any of Nami's. It's just that Sha Luo always said that the girl was still relatively young, so she never took action. Otherwise, with her obedient character, Sha Luo would have won her long ago. Carefully feeling the fruit of Kaya, Shaluo felt that she could already pick the fruit. I miss Kaya-chan too. It's been so long. Kaya has grown up too. Shaluo smiled and touched Kaya, who was only as tall as her chest. The latter blushed and then made a move that shocked even Shaluo. Kaya jumped up and hugged Shaluo's neck, and her face came close to hers. Kaya-chan is so bold. Seeing this scene, Robin covered her mouth and her eyes turned into crescents when she smiled. But just after this moment, Kaya let go of her hand and lowered her crimson and steaming head to pretend to be an ostrich. This bold move in front of everyone made her very shy, but she couldn't hold back her strong longing, so she did it anyway when her head was hot. Later, Karina, Nokigao, and Michita also followed Kaya's actions and hugged Shaluo before joining in. These three already knew the basics, so they didn't feel ashamed at all. When Vivi arrived, the latter blushed and nodded coyly at the corner of Shaluo's mouth before running back to Kaya, and the two of them pretended to be ostriches together. Reiju was more straightforward and direct. He pulled Shaluo's collar to make him lower his head, and then approached him directly. And it wasn't just a simple click, but a very enthusiastic response. Wow, Sister Reiju. Kaya and Vivi both covered their faces and exclaimed, but they still watched the scene secretly between their fingers. Captain Shaluo, long time no see. Satisfied, Reiju let go of Shaluo's collar, then licked his lips before saying a greeting. Long time no see, Reiju. Seeing Reiju licking her lips, Shaluo secretly swallowed her saliva, thinking, sooner or later, I will capture this monster. Then Shaluo looked at Robin. She was the last to join her fleet, so Shaluo didn't think about how she could defeat this mature woman so early. She was so good. Does Captain Shaluo also want me to treat you like Miss Reiju? Seeing Shaluo's eyes glance over, Robin covered her mouth and laughed. Ha ha ha, no, it's just that I haven't seen Robin-chan for a long time and I want to hug her. Shaluo scratched his head in embarrassment. In fact, he had thought about it, but he didn't think about it now. Reality. But Robin had already come up to her at this time, tapped her gently and then retreated. Just think of this as a reward for Captain Shaluo's return. Don't think too much about it. Robin smiled playfully, not caring about what he had just done. A smile also appeared on Shaluo's face, and then she told the girls about the past 2 years by the swimming pool. There are also various exotic plants in the Bolan Islands, and the dishes from the gourmet paradise are also given to the girls to enjoy, and the transplanted plants are arranged at the same time. Night. Shaluo began to test the strength that Nami, Karina, Nokigao, and Mikita had developed over the past few years, but in the end the girls were defeated. Shaluo's current combat power was no longer at their level. But what surprised Shaluo was that Reiju also got involved. As a modified person, Reiju's physical strength is much stronger than other girls, but it is still far behind compared to the steel balloon, and she will be easily defeated by Shaluo in the end. Shaluo could only light a cigarette and sigh, how lonely it is to be invincible. Drink. Mikita hit Shaluo with the umbrella in her hand. The umbrella was still entangled with the aura of armament hockey, and had the added weight of light and heavy fruits. But facing this menacing blow, Shaluo only used his arms to block, not even armament hockey. Clang. The contact between the umbrella and the arm actually made the sound of gold and iron. The strength is good. It seems that he has been well trained. Shaluo praised. Then he made a fist with his right hand and struck at Michita, but his intention was obvious, and he was easily noticed by Michita's observation hockey, and he immediately took back the umbrella. When Shaluo's fist was about to hit, Mikita suddenly opened the umbrella, and the wind caused by the fist directly blew Mikita back a little distance. It was precisely this distance that caused Shaluo's fist to miss her. This is a combination of light and heavy fruits and paper arts. Shaluo felt the feeling that she was about to hit, but when she got closer, she was like a loach, missing by just a hair. Hey. Michita did not answer Shaluo's doubts, but smiled. A moonwalk, the airflow drove the parasol, allowing the almost weightless Michita to float quickly towards Shaluo, and then did a backflip and sat on Shaluo's neck. This weird posture now is like a father taking care of his daughter. Mikita clamped her legs around Shaluo's neck and smiled evilly. 10,000 kilograms guillotine strangulation. The weight of Michita, who was originally light, doubled to 10 tons in an instant, and her legs tightened to clamp Sha Luo's neck, and gravity continued to exert pressure. This sudden increase in weight also caused Sha Luo to stumble suddenly, and cracks appeared on the ground under her feet. Ah ha 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 ha, Captain Sha Luo, you are careless. Michita sat on Sha Luo's neck and laughed triumphantly, obviously very confident in her moves. She also practiced for a long time in order to increase the upper limit of the fruit, just to reach the awakening state mentioned by Sha Luo. Ha ha, this level is not enough. Suddenly Sha Luo laughed out loud and directly grabbed Michita's smooth thigh. Then, when the other party screamed in terror, he pulled him down and whipped him around a few times, and then pushed him to the ground. After all, she was still a crew member and her own woman, so Sha Luo couldn't bear to throw her hands on the ground. It's not enough to only weigh 10 tons. Your advantage is not in weight, but in the way of fighting by switching weight at will. Sha Luo patted her butt, which made the other party remember it for a long time. Facing someone who can bear her weight, this attack method is a pure flaw, so it is better to use it sparingly in the future. It hurts, admit defeat, Captain Sha Luo, you are so BT, this kind of strength is unique even in the world. Michita touched her spanked butt and shouted. After testing the strength of several girls last night, now it is time to test the actual combat abilities of the girls. It has to be said that with the existence of the crew training room and 2 years of diligent training, the development of the girls is very balanced, including fruit abilities, physical skills, strength, and hockey's training. He even learned the 6-style training method dictated by Sha Luo before, and after practicing it, he learned a set of fighting methods that suit him. Michita also changed the attack method that originally relied only on the weight of the fruit into a gravity/attack using a closed umbrella. For this reason, she also learned some swordsmanship from Nokigao. Ha ha ha, then you underestimate the monsters in the sea. There are at least 2 guys who can match my strength now, and there are also many who are slightly weaker than me. Looking at the girl's mournful face, Sha Luo laughed loudly, then put the girl on his shoulders and let her sit on it. Then Sha Luo walked to the other girls watching the battle and nodded. Your strength is very good now. If you cooperate well, you will be able to fight even against Admiral. Especially Nami and Karina, both of you have very high lower and upper limits of fruit abilities and can play a huge role in actual combat. Quote. Nami and Karina also laughed when their names were specifically mentioned, with a hint of pride in their expressions. Now in the adventure group, they are the 2 most powerful. Even Reiju, who was stronger than them before, is now left behind. In this case, it's time for us to start our journey again. Looking at the expectant eyes of the girls, Sha Luo also announced that she would set sail again. After all, it has been left on Sky Island for too long, and it's time to start taking risks. Okay, the more lively girls jumped excitedly. The next target is the capital of 7 waters. Sha Luo said the target island for the next voyage. The super battleship that Bingshan was asked to build for him 2 years ago is probably completed and is waiting for him to sign for it. Sha Luo is still looking forward to this super luxurious battleship. The sign in location has also been refreshed, and it happens to be the capital of 7 waters. This time I just got the reward that I haven't signed in for a long time. Sky Island's previous sailing with 9 people turned out to be 11 people this time. Sha Luo's original maids of the gods, Canis and Lackey, expressed their intention to sail with Sha Luo. As Lord God's maid, how could she not serve him by his side? Canis and Lackey's attitudes were extremely determined, and they also complained about Sha Luo's abandonment of them for 2 years. Sha Luo was also a little helpless about this. Although he could order them as a god, he still agreed after recalling the leisurely time of serving girls 2 years ago. In the end, he was still greedy. Today's Sky Island is more prosperous than before under the management of Gonfor and several women. Coupled with the utilization of land, the food obtained has become more diverse. The peaceful era gave Sky Island's god guards more time to practice, and Wappa, the original warrior of Sandia, has become stronger and can definitely take on the role of guardian. Sha Luo was also very relieved to let Gonfuer and the others guard Sky Island. Some interesting things happened during these 2 years. The descendant of Nolandu, Kuligite, actually landed on Sky Island through the Sky Current, and met Wappa, the descendant of Calgara. This seemed to be the end of fate. The two legendary descendants met again. The bell that Sha Luo rang 2 years ago rekindled the passion of this man. Wappa fulfilled his ancestors' long-cherished wish, rang the lamp of Shantora, and once again guided Nolando to the island. Sha Luo, look, the capital of 7 waters is in front of you. It's so beautiful. Nami pointed forward and smiled happily. The long-lost sailing made her interest high. Everything she saw now felt very fresh. It's indeed beautiful. Sha Luo couldn't help but sigh when she looked at the huge sea fountain in front of her. It was already evening when he came here last time, and he hadn't fully appreciated the customs of the capital of 7 waters. This time, he wanted to have a good time. Soon, the sailboat arrived at an uninhabited shore in the capital of 7 waters and landed on the island. Ding, the sign-in system has detected the target 7 waters capital. Do you want to sign in to the target? Sign in. Ding, get Fairy Beans X10. Ding, get Special Cooking Book. Ding, get Agility Enhancement Pack. Ding, the next check-in location is Sabayati Archipelago. Sign-in will be open in 40 days. Host, please go to the check-in location to sign in. Fairy Beans, another product of Otherworld. Sha Luo's mouth couldn't suppress the madness. Laugh. Fairy beans are a good thing, but they are a bug-like product in the Dragon Ball world. This thing is an effect that was thought up by Feet in the animation world. It was so heaven-defying that a plot was directly arranged in the later stage of the Dragon Ball world to make it a rare item. Another life-saving artifact. After signing into so many islands, I have obtained several life-saving props and skills. Now there is a battery life artifact. With this thing, Sha Luo feels that it is more than enough for him to fight Marine for a month. Here we go again. Sha Luo, you are as happy as a child every time you go to an island. Are you so excited? Nami looked at Sha Luo, who was immersed in joy, and covered her head and said, "This is not the first time that Sha Luo has behaved like this. He often shows this smile every time he visits a new island. The main reason is that the rewards for signing in are very good, and there are 1 or 2 unexpected things every time. Nami, you guys go shopping by yourself first. I have something to do and want to see the mayor here." Sha Luo did not tell Nami about the joy of drawing cards to withdraw money. Instead, she said something to herself and flew to the mayor's office at the top. He did not forget his other purpose of coming here, of course, to see his super battleship first. Thump thump thump. In the silent office, there was only the sound of pen rubbing against paper. Bingshan was processing documents in the office when a sudden knock on the door alerted him and the secretary beside him. "Come in." Bingshan did not raise his head, but shouted naturally, and the people outside also pushed the door and entered. "Long time no see, Mayor Bingshan. I'm here to fulfill my promise, and I'm here to get something." A strange yet familiar voice sounded in Bingshan's ears. Bingshan suddenly raised his head in shock, and then a happy smile appeared on his face. "Long time no see, Sha Luo." Bingshan smiled. Khalifa beside him frowned and looked at Sha Luo's somewhat familiar face but couldn't remember who he was. Then he turned back to a serious expression and said to Bingshan, "Mayor Bingshan, now is not the time for small talk. You still have many matters that have not been taken care of today." "Well, Khalifa-chan, when a friend you haven't seen for a long time comes to visit, you always have to chat for a while. I'll take care of the official business later." Bingshan stood up and retorted to Khalifa. "Mayor Bingshan has been very happy these past 2 years. It must be great to have such a beautiful woman as your secretary." Without waiting for Khalifa to speak, Sha Luo walked straight to the sofa and sat down, just like when he first saw the iceberg 2 years ago. "Sir, you are harassing me." Khalifa pushed up her glasses, and the reflection in the lenses made it difficult to see her eyes. "Ha ha ha, Sha Luo, you came here because of what happened 2 years ago. The things have been built. I didn't expect that when you said it was a period of time, it actually took 2 years." "Well, that's right. In addition to coming to get things this time, I also fulfilled my original promise and helped you solve your trouble." Hearing Sha Luo's reply, Bingshan's eyes lit up. "I see, now is the right time," Bingshan said with a smile. Khalifa couldn't help but frown again as she watched the two Riddler-like conversations. Who is this Sha Luo and why does it sound so familiar? Moreover, Bingshan has always been under his supervision, so no one should be able to contact him without his knowledge. You must have been pretending to be very hard under the surveillance of CP9 in the past 2 years. It's also made things difficult for you. Originally, Bingshan was very natural when he didn't know the identity of CP9, but after knowing the identity, it was more difficult to pretend in front of CP9. CP9. Khalifa was stunned. Her first thought was that someone on the island had been exposed, and that this person named Sha Luo was here to help Bingshan deal with CP9. 2 years ago. Sha Luo. Sha Luo. Khalifa's pupils shrank. She recalled, Golden Lion 2, Sha Luo, who became famous 2 years ago. Since he disappeared for 2 years, many people thought that Sha Luo was dead. Unexpectedly, he appeared here 2 years later. This is a big shot. He certainly cannot defeat the opponent with his own strength, so he must quickly notify his companions to evacuate. Just as Khalifa was flooded with thoughts, she didn't notice what Bingshan and Sha Luo were talking about at the side. Hey, CP9 girl over there, stop standing around and come sit here for a while. Suddenly Sha Luo shouted at Khalifa, who came to his senses, and then he also walked towards them. But when he was halfway there, he suddenly noticed what Sha Luo had just shouted, and his expression became shocked. Wah, what, am I the one exposed? She thought it was her companion on the island who was exposed, but she didn't expect that person to be herself. Escape. This is the only thought Khalifa has left. She cannot defeat Sha Luo, who fought against Kuzan 2 years ago, so she can only escape. Call out. But when she turned around and tried to jump out of the window to escape, she was faced with Sha Luo's face so close that she almost got into a fight. Khalifa broke into a cold sweat and took 2 steps back. Then he put his hand to his mouth and whistled loudly. This was a notification method that their CP9 occasionally used. She wanted to let Lu Qi and Kaku know that she had been exposed in this way. Stop bragging, your companions outside are gone long ago, and they have probably been dealt with now. Sha Luo smiled and took off her hand that was on her mouth. The latter did not dare to resist at all and could only let Sha Luo do what she did. Sha Luo's observation hockey at this time has long been able to cover the entire island. Lu Qi and Kaku's has long been included in key perceptions. Now these 2 people, including Bluno, who is disguised as a tavern owner, are in contact with these women. With their strength, there is no way they can be the opponents of these women. It is estimated that they were able to find out so quickly because the women did not hide themselves at all, and then the informants informed them after being noticed. Chapter 61. I'm sorry, Miss Agent, it would be better for you to get some sleep first. Sha Luo just dodged and came up behind Khalifa, and then with a gentle knock, the latter rolled his eyes and fainted in Sha Luo's arms. Mr. Sha Luo, you plan to knock him unconscious first and then pull him out. Bingshan wiped his neck. He thought that Sha Luo didn't want to make this office too bloody, so he deliberately knocked him unconscious and dragged him out to deal with it. We are all civilized people, how could I do such a bloody and cruel thing? Sha Luo said seriously, then put Khalifa on her shoulders. Mayor Bingshan, please come with me to meet my companions first, and then take us to see the ship. After sensing the position of Nami and the others, Sha Luo turned back and said to Bingshan. Oh, okay. At this time, Bingshan came to his senses and followed him, but he still had doubts in his heart. When did pirates become civilized people? Aren't they always so bloody and brutal? However, he didn't know Sha Luo well, and they had no previous interactions with Sha Luo except agreeing to build ships 2 years ago, so there was no abrupt question. Cities like the Water City are relatively large, but because most of them are by water, transportation is relatively convenient. However, Sha Luo's behavior of directly carrying a person on his shoulders also aroused the curiosity of passers-by. As soon as someone wanted to ask, he saw Mayor Bingshan behind Sha Luo, so he suppressed his curiosity and didn't ask. As the mayor of the Water City, Bingshan is relatively authoritative in the eyes of the people. Following his perception, Sha Luo came to a relatively remote part of the city and saw a few women in a certain open space. Hey, Sha Luo, you're finally here. Nami sensed your aura coming this way, and said you had prepared a surprise for us. What makes you so mysterious? Karina said hello to Sha Luo, and then looked at Khalifa on his shoulder in surprise. Wouldn't the surprise be that he brought another beautiful woman back? Sha Luo looked at Nami, who smiled naughtily and winked at him. Apparently observation Haki and Thunderfruit's ability have already read the brain waves of everyone in the city. Then Nami must have learned about the conversation between Sha Luo and the others, but Nami was able to keep it a secret and did not tell the other girls about it. I really have prepared a surprise for you, and I can take you to see it now. Sha Luo threw Khalifa on the ground and said, "This woman is also with those people. Which CP9 organization do they belong to?" Karina asked curiously, looking at the blonde woman on the ground. "Huh, do you already know that they are members of CP9? Haha, these guys announced themselves as members of CP9 as soon as they came up, and then they wanted to take Sister Robin away, and told us to stay out of our own business. I thought they were so strong, but they ended up at this level." Michita laughed, and then despised the trio lying on the ground. Before the battle, she talked loudly and said that she wanted to be as arrogant as possible, which made everyone prepare for it. In actual combat, he couldn't even catch Nami's lightning strike. He really underestimated these people. They don't know their own strength level yet, so they are more cautious when dealing with their enemies. Sha Luo glanced at Robin, who looked calm and smiled at him. Obviously not as panicked as 2 years ago, her strength has brought her some confidence. As long as he didn't face Aokiji, the nightmare in his heart, Robin wouldn't. Just like 2 years ago. But one day, Sha Luo will let her break her nightmare herself. "Mayor Bingshan, please lead the way." Then Sha Luo also said to Bingshan. "No problem, Iceberg Kaido." After randomly finding a wooden board and using his power to levitate it, Lucci and the others were thrown onto the board and taken away. As for Khalifa, of course Sha Luo carried her away. Sha Luo has her own ideas about these members of CP9. Instead of just killing them all like before, he also planned to conquer these people. Lucci and Kaku have very good talents, and Kaku even developed the zone fruit ability from 0 to awakening in just 2 years. Bluenose door fruit also plays a big role. As for Khalifa, it is long and white and is a good secretary. Soon the iceberg took Sha Luo and the others to a remote port. A huge wooden house was built on the sea, and there were some weirdly dressed gangsters chatting and laughing at the door. Suddenly, one of them shouted at Sha Luo and others, which also attracted the attention of others, who all looked over with fierce expressions. However, when he saw the person clearly, his expression softened and there was no longer that ferocious energy, but his attitude was not too good either. "What? It turns out to be you, Bingshan, what? Are you coming here to get the boat?" "That's right, please take care of Frankie's family these 2 years." Bingshan nodded in response to the other party's words. "HMPH, if you hadn't given us enough money and our boss's instructions, we wouldn't have helped you look after this place." The leading little boss snorted and left with his little brother. Now that someone has come to get the boat, their mission has been completed, so there is no need to stay here. "Mr. Sha Luo, come with me." Bingshan disapproved of the attitude of several gangsters and was obviously used to it. Then he opened the door and said to Sha Luo with a smile. So big." As soon as they entered the door, the women were so surprised that they shouted out. Even Robin, who was usually relatively calm and composed, slightly opened his mouth. Only the Reiju family, which owns an entire island as a ship, was not too surprised. On the bow of the boat is a woman with her eyes tightly closed and her arms folded across her chest. A golden dragon and a roaring lion are carved on both sides. This is the statue of the goddess of water. I hope it can help you withstand strong winds, bring good luck, and guide you in the direction. Seeing that Sha Luo was very curious about the appearance of the bow of the ship, Bingshan also smiled and explained. "It doesn't make much sense to me. Let's introduce this ship to me." Sha Luo shook her head and smiled. Bingshan was slightly stunned. Indeed, for Sha Luo with lion fruit, ordinary wind and waves could not stop the opponent's progress. This is a large 3-masted sailing ship with 1 main mast and 2 auxiliary masts, with a total length of 120 meters. It has a 3rd gate main gun and 20 auxiliary guns. There are 3 charging stations inside. According to after your request, the electric energy can be replenished to accelerate the sailing speed of the ship. The main gun on the bow can also be replenished with electric energy to fire the electromagnetic gun, and the ship can accommodate thousands of people. Then Bingshan introduced some information about the battleship to everyone. Captain Sha Luo, where are your other crew members? Why didn't you see them? Bingshan suddenly asked in confusion. Up to now, he had only seen Sha Luo's female family members, but he still hadn't seen any of the other crew members. The crew, aren't they all in front of you? Sha Luo was even more confused than him. How could he have any other crew members? Does Captain Sha Luo want to operate this large sailing ship with 12 people? This is a bit difficult. I suggest that Captain Sha Luo would be better off recruiting dozens of sailors. Quote. Bingshan was shocked when he heard Sha Luo's reply. I thought that Sha Luo asked him to build this giant battleship because he had many crew members, but he didn't expect that there were only a dozen or so crew members. Haha, I won't bother Mayor Bingshan with this. With Robin here, I can operate everything on the ship at the same time. Sha Luo responded with a smile. Robin also showed off his abilities at the right time, and rows of arms immediately appeared on the ground. This scene made Bingshan look like a messenger from hell summoning souls, and some cold sweat immediately broke out on his head. Devil Fruit's ability users, Mr. Sha Luo's ship is full of talents. Bingshan sighed with emotion but didn't say anything else. Everyone has such convenient demon fruit power, so why do they need those ordinary sailors? You can go up and watch at will. Over there is the door to the sea. Mr. Sha Luo can take the battleship by himself. I will go back to handle official business first. The matter of CP9 will trouble Mr. Sha Luo. Bingshan pointed to the door on the other side, then said goodbye to Sha Luo and returned to his office. After the iceberg left, the more lively girls were like wild horses running wild, and they no longer had any worries when no outsiders were around. They immediately jumped on the boat and started spinning around. Judging from their happy smiles, it seemed that all very satisfied with this boat. Sha Luo, look, the hall and kitchen are so large and the facilities are complete. After entering the cabin, the first thing Nuo Chigao looked for was the kitchen, which was spacious and could accommodate dozens of people working at the same time. This was also Sha Luo's requirement. The lobby has a large decorative fish tank, a bar and a small kitchen, as well as several sets of sofa seats surrounding it. The comfort level is indeed full. It's really good. It's worth the money. Sha Luo hugged Nuo Chigao and felt the softness of the sofa. The place is kept very clean and it is still spotless even after 2 years. Then he walked to the lower level of the cabin. There were 3 levels in the cabin, almost all of which were crew lounges. The captain's lounge was the largest and could accommodate at least 20 or 30 people. As he walked further down, Sha Luo actually found several prison-like places on the 3rd floor. It is estimated that this was specially built to detain criminal crew members, or to detain prisoners. It just so happened that there were several prisoners to be imprisoned now, so Sha Luo thought, and several fainted people outside floated into the boat. After these CP9 agents were tied up and handcuffed, they were all held in a cell. The handcuffs are made of sea stone and are placed inside the cell. Since Sha Luo gave him more money, everything was arranged by Bingshan. Even sea stone was obtained from the black market and used to make cells and handcuffs. That's great. This way we don't have to leave anyone to guard them. I'll come over and take a look later. After settling in CP9's residence, Sha Luo also walked up to the hall. The girls had already visited the entire ship and were chattering without knowing what they were discussing. When they saw Sha Luo coming over, they also greeted Sha Luo warmly. Sha Luo, we plan to go to the island to purchase some things. The ship is still relatively empty right now. I think we need some other things to decorate it. I just happened to see an area on the deck that can be planted with trees. Let's transplant some orange trees and grapevines. Nami said with a smile, and then pulled Sha Luo to the planting area on the deck and told her plan. It just so happens that we need to stay here for a while. You can take a good stroll around the city and buy whatever you want. You won't be short of money. Sha Luo waved her hand, indicating that she had no shortage of money and could buy whatever she wanted. This time he appeared, he brought some gold nuggets from Sky Island and exchanged them for Bailey. At least it's tens of billions, which is enough for daily use. Wow, you are so kind. Nami cheered, then hugged Sha Luo and gave her a mouthful, and then went shopping with her little sisters. Nuo Chigao was busy in the kitchen, and Sha Luo walked over and gave him the special recipe book. This is, what a special menu. There are packages to speed up recovery and relieve fatigue, as well as enhanced packages for exercise. How did you get this particular recipe? Nokigao also exclaimed after getting Sha Luo's cooking book. It is really that Sha Luo's cooking book is too special. I got this in the Boer Islands. There is a high-end cuisine set menu developed by an old man who has lived there all year round. It is just right for you to learn from. Sha Luo explained with a smile and passed the blame to Heracles on the Bosnian islands. He is never short of blame shifters and can always easily resolve the questions of several women. This old gentleman must be a master of cooking. It's so amazing. I can't help but want to try it myself. Nuochi Gao held the cooking book and said happily, as the first chef on the ship. She was very satisfied with Sha Luo's gift and gave Sha Luo a small reward for it. An hour later, Sha Luo left the kitchen with a full meal. Mr. Captain, are you full? Do you want another meal? When they came to the deck, Reiju looked at him with a playful expression, while Robin sat aside and read quietly, but the corners of his mouth were also raised. Ahahaha, I'm full for the time being. You know, my physique has evolved and I can now control my food intake. Speaking of which, how is the research on Judge's suit for? It should have been completed, right? Sha Luo scratched her head awkwardly and walked over, then changed the subject. Reiju looked at him with a strange look on his face and said, Father called me more than a year ago, but you kept putting it on hold since you were away. Now you can make a phone call and find out. It seems that it has been developed. I will use the phone to ask Judge's current location. Let's go back to North Blue in 2 days. Hearing this, Sha Luo showed a hint of excitement. The suit could still arouse some interest in him. Is there any man who can resist the temptation of transformation? Looking at the excited childlike smile of the man in front of him, Reiju chuckled. After the sound, he took out a phone bug. Wei, is it Mr. Vinsmoke Judge? As soon as the phone number was dialed, Sha Luo said in a carefree tone. Quote. All he got was a moment of silence from the other party. Moses. Sha Luo glanced at the phone bug in his hand doubtfully. It seemed to be the one Judge gave him before. Kid, what's going on? Tell me quickly. Judge's impatient voice came over. Ahaha, I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you suddenly. By the way, have I finished making my suit? At first, I was really urging Judge to hurry up and make the armor. Unexpectedly, after it was finished, I would outclass him for a year and a half. Sha Luo was still a little embarrassed to say that Judge was now one of her father-in-laws. It was produced a year and a half ago, and now the third generation has been produced. If Reiju hadn't told me that you were evolving, I would have thought you had died in the Grand Line. A hash mark visibly popped up on the phone bug's forehead, which shows how Judge is feeling now. The Kingdom of Germa is still near North Blue XXXX. If you want the suit, come to North Blue on the 24th and get it. Judge hung up the phone immediately after giving the address, without giving Sha Luo any chance to reply. In his opinion, Sha Luo was just here to get the suit, so instead of wasting time chatting, he should continue researching technology. The beeping sound coming from the phone bug made Sha Luo laugh twice and then handed the phone bug to Reiju. Reiju just smiled and was already familiar with his father's character. In the evening, Nami and the others returned to the boat after visiting the water city, and then told Sha Luo about the interesting places and delicious food on the island. Evenings with Nami and the others are not boring at all. They can chat for a while or go to practice and practice. The next day, Sha Luo went down to the prison on the 3rd floor of the ship and looked at the 4 people in CP9 with interest. The CP9s had already woken up last night, and Nokigao thoughtfully helped them make dinner. But they did not say a word until Sha Luo appeared now. Golden Lion to Sha Luo, it is indeed you. It was rumored that you died 2 years ago. I didn't expect that you are still alive. I didn't expect that you would meet a big shot this time. Lu Qi's serious expression showed no emotion, even though he was in prison now. Haha, you are CP9, right? You are so brave, you actually kidnapped me. Sha Luo smiled and looked very approachable. But in CP9's eyes, the other party is like a demon, cutting everything into black and white. I wonder what the purpose of your Excellency Golden Lion 2 is in capturing us. With your strength, you can easily kill us. What do you want to do by specifically capturing us? Lu Qi's question was also the question of others. They really couldn't think of any value they could have for the other party to catch and imprison. The secrets of the world government. They don't have access to that level. As for the secrets within their CP9, if they tell them, they will definitely be hunted down by the world government. No matter which one is a dead end for them, their moods are heavy now. Haha, it's very simple. You have good strength. I just lack a few thugs. I want you to join me. Sha Luo didn't hide it at all and stated his plan straightforwardly. What? Did I hear it wrong, or were you kidding me? Do you want world government agents to join your pirate group? Aren't you afraid that we are undercover agents? Everyone in CP9 shrank their pupils, but they didn't expect that Sha Luo's purpose was to win over them. Undercover. For me, I have only useful people and useless people. Any conspiracy and conspiracy are useless to me. I will use absolute strength to defeat all visitors. Sha Luo didn't care, and there was only a hint of confidence in her eyes. With their current strength, even if they sent 2 admirals to pursue them, his fleet would still be able to withstand it. Even if 3 admirals attack together, he can escape unscathed, so why should he be afraid of the world government? Sha Luo's arrogant demeanor was a bit incredible in the eyes of the 4 people. A pirate in the first half of the Grand Line is not afraid of the threat of the world government. He is also someone who has faced the Marine Admiral directly. Now he can say something like this. Has he reached the level of general strength? Are you at the admiral level now? Lu Qi looked at him with shocked eyes and asked directly. Haha, you have seen the strength of my other crew members, right? They were not as strong as you 2 years ago, but now they have reached the point where they can crush you. Do you want to join? Sha Luo did not tell them her current level of strength, but she told them about the changes in the strength of the girls. What will you do to us if we say no? Lu Qi did not directly respond to Sha Luo's question. Instead, he asked about the consequences of rejection. Although Sha Luo didn't mention her own strength just now, it was equivalent to acquiescing to her own level. By telling the girls' strength, she meant to tell them that she could easily raise their strength to a higher level. The temptation of power to CP9 is still great, especially for Lu Qi, who originally joined the world government for the purpose of legal killing, but it is not worth mentioning in the face of real power. Death. In response to Lu Qi's inquiry, Sha Luo only said one word with a smile. Suddenly, cold sweat broke out on the backs of the 4 people. The words of the seemingly harmless young man in front of them with a smile on his face made them feel very frightened. The other 3 people instantly looked at Lu Qi. The actual leader of CP9 was Rob Lu Qi. As for their boss Spandam, they didn't take it seriously. After Lu Qi lowered his head and thought for a while, he calmly replied, "Let's join. But I have a question and I want to ask Captain Sha Luo, do you want Nico Robin to join you because you want to become the Pirate King?" Lu Qi soon changed his name to Captain Sha Luo, and the identity change was very smooth. But he still has a question about Robin, that is whether Sha Luo really has the ambition to become the Pirate King. Haha, One Piece. Well, I've already told you twice, but it doesn't hurt to tell you. Now that the world government makes us unhappy, what I want to do is to overthrow the world government and establish a new order and become the king of the world. I don't even pay attention to the mere Pirate King. Sha Luo smiled and told something that he thought was very ordinary, but in the eyes of others, his body exploded with a vigor that shocked ordinary people. Even if Sha Luo didn't use Conqueror's Haki, his aura still shocked them, and several of them looked at him blankly. Although you have agreed to join me, you still need a small joining ceremony. You must continue to stay here before completing this ceremony. Sha Luo's sudden voice woke up several stunned CP9s. What ceremony? Even though he was still in shock, Lu Qi still asked. The commander of your CP9 should be Spandam. I happen to see that guy unhappy. As long as you personally kill this guy, the ceremony will be completed. For those who have watched One Piece, Spandam is definitely a must-kill person. When watching the animation, he was disgusted by this guy, especially how he treated Robin Chan. Although they haven't met yet, he has already fallen in love with Sha Luo Death List. The other one is, of course, Momonosuke. This guy is also a heinous person. When he arrives in the new world, Juzai will find this guy as soon as possible and kill him in front of Wanokuni Renyao. Spandine. That's fine. Lu Qi understood what Sha Luo meant. As long as Spangdine was executed, they would also be wanted by the world government and carry a bounty. It would be impossible for them to return to the world government. It just so happened that they were all very dissatisfied with Spandam, who always pointed fingers at them as their boss. He is obviously just a guy with no power, but he got into this position because of his relationship with the world government and his father. Sha Luo was very satisfied with Lu Qi's reply. Without further ado, under the leadership of Lu Qi, Sha Luo operated the giant battleship and sailed towards Eni's lobby. Nami and the others have already played the Seven Waters capital and obtained the sign in rewards. He has no reason to stay any longer. Before leaving, Sha Luo also asked Bingshan to help him purchase a lot of sea salt, the specialty of the gods of the sea, which is very unique as a condiment for cooking. Eni's lobby. The island is known as the island that never sleeps. There is no night here, and the plaque was white in the past. Behind the Eni's lobby is a gate called the Gate of Justice. Going out from here will only lead to two places, one is the Naval Headquarters Marineford, and the other is the Deep Sea Prison Impelton. This is Eni's lobby. It has its own uniqueness. Sha Luo looked at this land of daylight, and the light of angels seemed to descend from the sky. Even though the surroundings were cloudy, the sun was shining brightly here in Eni's lobby. Sha Luo also had a little guess about this unique sight. The Eni's lobby in front of us, the Isle of Thunder in the second half of New World, and even Drum Island and Alabasta are actually the products of the awakening of Logia fruit users in the past. It is very likely that Eni's lobby was the place where people with sparkling fruit abilities awakened hundreds of years ago and changed the environment here, or it was after sparkling fruit awakeners fell here that this wonder occurred. The weird Boeing Islands, Cake Island, and Hot Spring Island can also rain candy, just like the environment changed by Paramesha's awakening. In Sha Luo's eyes, only those who have awakened the Logia ability can permanently change the island's environment. Although he did not see the ending of One Piece before traveling through time, he also made some guesses about the 800 years of blank history. Could it be that this great route was once a battlefield? What happened 800 years ago to change the climate of this great route and create so many strange islands? A sudden exclamation interrupted Sha Luo's thoughts. Who are you guys? Get out of this area quickly, otherwise I will arrest you all for breaking into Eni's lobby. As the ship got closer and closer, the agents and marine left behind at Eni's lobby also noticed this behemoth. One agent shouted to Sha Luo on the bow of the ship. There was no pirate flag on the ship, so these workers just thought it was a merchant ship that accidentally entered the sea area and didn't think much about it. Haha, breaking into Eni's lobby privately. Sorry, this is my purpose. Under the stunned eyes of the agents, the battleship gradually left the sea and flew into the sky, then floated towards Eni's lobby with a commanding attitude. What the hell is going on? The agents opened their mouths wide and roared. Some agents thought they were hallucinating and were wiping their eyes violently, trying to wipe the battleship out of their eyes. Facing the chattering and noisy agents below, Sha Luo without saying a word directly used the powerful Conqueror's Haki to cover the entire island. In an instant, all the agents and sailors rolled their eyes and fainted on the ground. Even the other agents of CP9 could not hold on and fell to their knees under the pressure. Sha Luo's Conqueror's Haki has reached a level, even if it's not to the point where Shanks can suppress the elite Vice Admiral, it's still very good. Following the perceived position, Sha Luo's battleship flew to the highest point of Eni's lobby. The remaining 3 CP9 agents, Fukuro, Kumadori, and Jabra, are already standing on the platform below. They looked at the behemoth in the sky with horrified eyes. Get rid of the 3 guys below, then bring Spandam up and kill them in front of them. Sha Luo's eyes were cold and he said to Lu Qi behind him. He has no interest in the following 3 Iron Body Masters. Even in the animation, they no longer have any role. They are just passers-by. Yes, Captain Sha Luo. The 4 people who received the order also showed cold eyes. The 4 of them used shave and moonwalk at the same time to quickly come to the platform to confront them. Lu Qi, what do you want to do? Do you want to betray the world government? Jabra was the first to question Lu Qi in front of him. He hated Lu Qi very much, and his relationship with Kaku was not very good, but he had to admit that they were both very powerful. If he really wanted to fight, 3 versus 4 would be an absolute disadvantage. He could only use verbal attacks to put pressure on the opponent first. Lu Qi didn't say anything, and directly transformed into the form of cat fruit, leopard, and human beast. His attitude was already obvious. Nuo's Jabra also shed a drop of cold sweat and transformed into a werewolf form. The war was about to break out, and the 4 Luki defeated the 3 Jabra in a crushing manner. They were already stronger and had more people than their opponents, so it was completely expected that they could crush them. They didn't show any kindness to their former colleagues, and if their current stance is incorrect, they would not be able to bear the blame from Sha Luo. Lucci then found Spandam in the top office of Eni's lobby, who was lying on the ground like a dead dog. Conqueror's hotkey's impact on him was like suffocating him in the sea, and he almost suffocated to death. After bringing the man to the platform, in the horrified eyes of the 3 Jabras, 4 of them in one tempest kick chopped him into pieces. At this point, the incident in Eni's lobby has come to an end. After taking down the 4 people from CP9, we have a secretary and there is no shortage of boatmen. Sha Luo can also go to North Blue with peace of mind to get her own jersey. Captain Sha Luo, this was found in Spandam's office. After returning to the battleship, Lucci immediately handed 2 boxes to Sha Luo. When I opened it, I found 2 devil fruits, one in the shape of a banana and the other in the shape of a cantaloupe. From the looks of it, Sha Luo knew that it must be a cow niu fruit, a giraffe form, and a bubble fruit. I didn't expect such a coincidence. This should be because Spandam just applied for 2 devil fruits and planned to let Kaku and Khalifa eat them. Is this fate? Spandam also didn't expect that these 4 people from CP9 had been recruited by Sha Luo, and they died in their hands in the end. Based on this calculation, the time period has reached the stage when Luffy is about to go to sea, or has just gone to sea. Kaku, let me give you the Zone Niu Niu fruit, giraffe-shaped fruit. As for the bubble fruit, let Khalifa eat it. Sha Luo threw the fruit to the 2 of them respectively. This was the power of the fruit they originally ate. Is it appropriate to give us devil fruit when we just joined? Kaku asked in surprise. Although it was captured by others, the decision actually rested with the captain. Unexpectedly, Shaoling actually gave them the devil fruit they had just obtained. Devil fruit means nothing to me. If I want to be able to get some devil fruit at any time, just treat these 2 as boarding rewards for you. Sha Luo said in an indifferent tone. If you really want devil fruit, just go to Mr. Doflamingo, one of the giants of our underground world. I don't think the other party will refuse, right? If he refuses, just beat him up first and then collect it. And he has so many family members, so it's not too much to threaten him by 2 or 3, right? Thinking of this, Sha Luo was already looking forward to the slap in the face after meeting Doflamingo, and was still a little excited. After hearing Sha Luo's words, the 2 took a bite without hesitation. Then their faces darkened. The fruit was really too unpalatable, but the quality of the agents allowed them to swallow this mouthful of fruit without losing their composure. By the way, remember to finish the fruit, otherwise the ability may not be complete and you may not be able to awaken in the future. Sha Luo's words made the 2 of them feel cold and cold. Have you finished eating? Although they have never heard of this statement, since they didn't dare to resist Sha Luo's order, so they could only stuff it all into their mouths while enduring nausea. CEDF, feels like I'm going to die. After eating the fruit, Kaku and Khalifa fell to their knees in frustration as if they were possessed by negative ghosts. Okay, we have to retreat next. First guess Marine has received the news and rushed here by now. With the goal accomplished, Sha Luo controlled the battleship to fly high into the sky. He didn't want to stay here and wait for Marine's support to arrive. After determining the direction, Sha Luo planned to cross the Calm Belt directly to North Blue. Traveling from Calm Belt saved a lot of time. In just 10 days, Sha Luo flew to North Blue to find the Vinsmoke family's mobile battleship. Long time no see, Judge. Sha Luo got off the ship and said hello to Judge at the port. When the latter learned that a giant warship was flying towards this side, they already knew that Sha Luo had arrived and had been waiting at the port early. This is what you want. Judge didn't say much and just threw a watch-like object over. Just press the button, and the suit will automatically cover you. Judge didn't forget to add how to use it. Tisk tisk, it's so convenient. It only requires such a small thing. Is it a technological breakthrough? I remember you still needed a belt before, right? Sha Luo felt a little novel looking at this watch, and after a while, she also put it on her hand. Then he pressed the button above, and a burst of light shone, and a set of uniforms that looked like military uniforms appeared on Sha Luo. However, the appearance has a sense of future technology, and it still looks very good. The battle suit has the function of invisibility. The thin layer of vibranium metal covering the surface can isolate low-level observation hockey detection and absorb a certain amount of damage. The shoes are equipped with a jet device for rapid movement and flight. And it is equipped with the technology of the arc reactor. Its hands can convert energy to eject thunder, lightning and flames. Solar energy and electrical energy can slowly replenish energy. The most important thing is that it can exert its full power. Quote. Judge continued to explain the functions of the combat suit. However, Sha Luo couldn't help but experiment. He ducked out of the way, followed by several more moonwalks, and the figure kept disappearing and reappearing. After turning on the invisibility function, there was only a little sound left, as if something was constantly moving in the air, but no one could be seen. It's very good. I feel that the consumption of movement has become less. I can perfectly control the exertion of power. The most important thing is, this material allows the body to expand and become bigger. It will not break, but will grow bigger along with the body. Quote. Sha Luo nodded with satisfaction. This function is very good. In the future, when Sha Luo's firepower is fully activated, his size may increase dramatically. It will be embarrassing if his clothes are torn. He doesn't want to fight others with his vagina exposed. HMPH, you don't know the power of technology. As I study the reactor more deeply, I have also made breakthroughs in technology. Even flowing metal can be stored in the device and turned into armor the moment it is started. The corners of Judge's mouth curled up, as if he was showing off to Sha Luo, regardless of whether the other party understood it or not. But Sha Luo is still a little surprised. Flowing metal. Is that Iron Man's armor? Has Judge already made a breakthrough in nanotechnology? I have to admire the technology tree of Pirate World. Even if it is wrong, as long as it is the same technology, he can research it and give you a complete life. It's pretty good. Are you interested in working with me? Join me. I'll manage enough funds. You can choose your own scientific researchers. This saves you from starting a war to steal funds. And you can still get my blessing. If you want to enter the new world in the future, I can also help you with my strength. Looking at the somewhat smug Judge, Sha Luo suddenly spoke. Are there enough funds? Do you know how much money is needed to support a scientific research team? This is not a problem that can be solved by more than 1 billion. Judge was a little surprised by Sha Luo's sudden invitation, and then looked at him suspiciously. This kid actually wants to support an entire scientific research team, but with his current size, he doesn't have that much money. Ha ha ha, money issues are trivial. Whether it's a billion, billions, or even tens of billions, it's nothing to me. Hearing what Judge said, Sha Luo couldn't help laughing. It seemed that Reiju hadn't told him that he owned a whole land of gold, and even Sha Luo himself hadn't calculated the countless gold in it. Tens of billions. Just dig out a big gold nugget from the ruins and you can get it. Sha Luo's confident words don't seem to be fake, although I don't know where he got so much money. But he still thought about joining Sha Luo for a while. First of all, Sha Luo's potential is huge, and he has reached a level that can withstand Marine Admiral 2 years ago. He learned from Reiju that he has evolved again, which means he has become stronger. If you think boldly, you may have reached the level of Admiral. Although you don't have a territory in the New World yet, once you take over the old department of Golden Lion, you will immediately form a force that cannot be underestimated. The other party can provide technological things like the arc reactor, and there may be better technologies, plus Reiju's relationship with him. No matter what, Sha Luo was a first choice, which also made his heart flutter. If he can go to the New World and make a name for the Vinsmoke family, why should he dominate the North Blue? After all, it is just a paradise within a paradise. Thinking of this, Judge couldn't help but his eyes lit up, and he said randomly, if you can provide funds, it is not impossible to let the Vinsmoke family join you, and the capital chain cannot be broken, and I have one more condition. What are the conditions? Tell me, Sha Luo asked curiously. Judge's answer also showed that he was moved. Sufficient funds are still important to him. Very attractive. You need to marry Reiju and give birth to an heir. Of course, you don't get married immediately. Song just wants you to agree to this condition. Judge said calmly. Marry Reiju. Sha Luo was dumbfounded and didn't expect that his condition was actually this. Sha Luo and Reiju looked at each other. Both of them were a little confused, but Nami on the side had a mouthful of silver teeth that were almost broken. She was obviously the one who came first, and she should be the first to get married. How could it be Reiju's turn? No, if you want to get married, I have to come first. Nami shouted immediately. Ah, Judge and Sha Luo were both speechless. They didn't expect Nami to be so serious. Judge only used Reiju as a final bargaining chip. After all, Reiju was also his daughter. After the two gave birth to an heir, he also had a family relationship with Sha Luo. In this way, in the future, we will not lose favor due to the addition of other scientific research teams and have our funds reduced. Ahem, I don't mind which rank you want, but if you don't agree to marry Reiju, I won't join you easily. Judge coughed a few times and then said to Sha Luo. He really doesn't understand why Sha Luo is looking for so many women, and they are not just for fun. This man has no ambitions to achieve. All his good strength is wasted on women. Well, I agreed. By the way, please give me the other combat uniforms. In addition, I need to make a few more sets. Sha Luo first verbally agreed to fool them, and then pointed at the Kakuluchi duo who were looking at the sky and the earth and said, meaning that they need a few men's combat uniforms to increase the strength of these two guys. Everything is here, including some battle suits with second-generation technology. As if he had expected it, Judge took out 2 bags. One side contained special combat uniforms for Nami and the other side contained some second-generation military combat uniforms. Oh, it's all ready. It's quite thoughtful. Sha Luo took out a bracelet with a lightning logo from the bag. It turned out to be Nami's special suit. After putting it on Nami and activating it, a futuristic battle suit and a cape appeared on Nami, which looked like future island-style clothes. Sha Luo didn't know whether the cloak was Judge's personal hobby. After Sha Luo gave bracelets to several girls, almost all of them turned into futuristic combat uniforms with capes. However, Judge's aesthetics are quite good. The combat uniforms fit well and bring out the beauty of the women. Sha Luo, do you think I look good? Nami happily ran to Sha Luo and circled around, obviously very satisfied with the appearance of this battle suit. Although the other women didn't say anything clearly, they all looked at Sha Luo with straight eyes. In this regard, Sha Luo could only give them a thumbs up, and the smiles on their faces became a little brighter after receiving Sha Luo's praise. Let me see how much power this suit can give me. Suddenly Nami stretched out her hand towards the sea, and thunder and lightning continued to condense from her palm. Call out. Boom boom boom. With a crackling sound, a 3-meter-sized thunder pillar ejected from Nami's hand and sped away into the distance. The violent thunder and lightning electrified all the fish in the water and some small sea kings to the point where they floated to the surface motionless. It wasn't until Nami took back the thunder element that the thunder turned into 10 rays of light and dissipated. So strong. Nami looked at the movement he made in surprise. The sea surface along the lightning path was completely. Most are fish creatures. Moreover, she felt that the concentration of her thunder and lightning elements was stronger, the damage of the electric current was also higher, and the suit was storing her electricity, which could amplify her skills when she used them. Hearing Nami's muttering, Sha Luo smiled and said, "It seems that Nami is our ship. It is the second most powerful force in the team. When armament hockey becomes more mature and gains more combat experience, it is estimated that he will be able to reach the level of Admiral. Admiral level combat power. Can I also achieve that kind of monster-like combat power?" Nami said in surprise. Sha Luo's evaluation was really beyond her expectation. Can she really achieve that kind of monster-level combat power? That's great, Sister Nami. Kaya looked at Nami longingly, feeling envious in her heart. Although Kaya is not good at fighting and doesn't really want to fight, it doesn't stop her from envying others for having the ability to help Sha Luo. Hey, don't worry, Sister Kaya, I will protect your safety. Nami patted her chest and said confidently. TCH, what's there to be proud of? My barrier fruit can do it too. Karina muttered with a sour tone, but she was still happy for Nami. In this case, we will leave first. You can get these funds first. After development, if the suit breaks through, please call us. Quote. Seeing that everyone was eager to test their current strength, Sha Luo no longer lingered. Under Judge's surprised gaze, he took out a large piece of gold from space and threw it on the ground as funds for his technological development. Then he took the spacecraft into the air and returned to the Grand Line. But what Sha Luo didn't know was that naval headquarters and New World had already exploded. The incident in Eni's lobby announced the return of Sha Luo, and suppressed Eni's lobby with powerful force, making the world government lose face. Now the forces at sea are making fun of Marine's incompetence. Someone knocked on the door and killed the top leader of Eni's lobby. In the end, Marine can't even see the spoon. Naval headquarters. Another meeting started with Sha Luo as the center of discussion. After we went to Eni's lobby, there was only a mess. Except for the 3 CP9 agents who were still awake, all other personnel were stunned by Conqueror's hockey. Even the 2 giants were not surprised. I'm afraid, Golden Lion 2, Sha Luo is already stronger than 2 years ago. At the conference table, Aokiji slowly talked about what he saw at Eni's lobby. Conqueror's hockey can cover an entire Eni's lobby. There is no doubt that the opponent's strength is likely to reach the level of his Marine Admiral. Now even he dare not say that he can take down Sha Luo. I thought this Sha Luo was timid and chose to hide herself from Marine's pursuit, but I didn't expect that her strength would rise to this level in just 2 years. These pirates have been causing such world-shaking troubles one after another, especially what Sha Luo did, like 363, all of which are unheard of. Not only was the Marine branch robbed, but the Eni's lobby, which was said to have never been breached, was breached. All of these things were embarrassing for Marine. Sengoku said through gritted teeth. In the past, Golden Lion broke through the Impelton, a large underwater prison that is said to have iron walls and no one can escape. Now, Sha Luo, the Golden Lion 2, has broken through it again. An Eni's lobby that has never been breached since its establishment. The 2 masters and apprentices did exactly the same thing, breaking the prestige that Marine had established over the years and making world government Marine a laughing stock. PFF'd, ha 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 ha, has this kid become stronger again? Garp on the side was still eating senbei as usual, and then laughed out loud when Sengoku was the most angry. What's so funny? Garp, you should think of something other than just sitting there eating senbei. Sengoku's head was throbbing with veins and he cursed loudly. Well, wasn't the newly appointed Shichibukai recently defeated by someone in the New World? The world government should also be very dissatisfied with that guy and wants to remove him and replace him with someone else. Let this kid be the Shichibukai. Garp spoke in a casual manner, stuffing the senbei in his hand constantly, and his beard was already full of biscuit crumbs. Sengoku suddenly froze as if he was awakened. He had never thought of this. 2 years ago, after Sha Luo defeated Crocodile, Shichibukai had been missing a seat. Later, under the instructions of the world government, Marine found a pirate who had grown the fastest in the past 2 years to be Shichibukai. But I didn't expect that the other party actually provoked the 4 emperors after entering the New World. The result was a disastrous defeat. In addition, this guy was very arrogant. Many big pirates in the New World were unhappy with this guy. As a result, he was beaten in turn. Now he has returned to paradise. Shichibukai's intimidating power was completely defeated by this guy. Now think about it, what Garp said makes sense. Sha Luo's strength is worthy of the name Shichibukai, and he can control the positions of Sha Luo and Nico Robin in real time. Since Marine has not developed an airship for air combat, he really doesn't know what to do with Sha Luo. If he can trick Sha Luo into becoming a Shichibukai, it will save him a lot of trouble. And recruiting Sha Luo to Marine can also save some face lost before. I didn't expect you, Garp, to come up with such a way to deal with it. Leon Vice Admiral looked at this unreliable guy with a different look. Ha ha ha, Xiaohei, what are you saying? Haven't I always been like this? Marshal Sengoku is too stupid to think of it. Garp laughed out loud, giving him some face and he could climb up the ladder, while also demoting Sengoku. Garp, you guy. Sengoku cursed angrily, then seemed to be discouraged and ignored him. Anyway, no matter how much he scolded him, this old guy still looked the same, not caring at all about the pressure of Marine Marshal. Although this Sha Luo has the ability of lion fruit, judging from his past behavior, it seems that he is sailing along the route of the paradise. It is estimated that the opponent's next island will be the Sabayati archipelago. Hey, Garp, it's up to you to stay and wait for this Sha Luo in Sabayati archipelago, and then send him an invitation to Shichibukai. If he doesn't agree, you will change your plan and arrest him in prison. Sengoku thought for a while, and now Marine is short of manpower. The other two admirals are out, and the only people with the level of ability to invite Sha Luo are Garp and Aokiji. Snort, snore, snore. Garp didn't know when a big bubble had appeared on his nose, and he was making a snoring sound. You guy, don't pretend to be here, get up quickly. Sengoku immediately grabbed Garp's collar and shook it, but no matter how much he shook it, Garp remained motionless as if he was asleep. This guy has this attitude whenever trouble like this happens. Sengoku had a headache and put him down helplessly. He knew that Garp hated celestial dragons, and it was still a bit troublesome for him to go to Sabayati archipelago. After all, celestial dragons would often go there, and Garp didn't want to face the stupid faces of celestial dragons. Sigh, something big seems to have happened to Whitebeard's pirate group recently. Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of Whitebeard Pirate Group, left New World, as if he was pursuing something and came to the paradise. Aokiji, go to New World and monitor Whitebeard's movements. If there are any problems, report them immediately. Regarding the problem of the 4 Emperors Pirate Group, it is difficult for an ordinary elite vice admiral to be competent. If something goes wrong, Marine will lose an elite vice admiral and the loss outweighs the gain. In order to avoid accidents, the admiral is still sent to check. Yes, Aokiji responded lazily. Sengoku nodded, then scanned the people present, and then locked on the target. Lu Shu, please go to the Sabayati archipelago and wait for now. If there is any trace of Sha Luo, report it in time and don't conflict with the other party. Kizaru will probably be back from completing the mission soon. I will ask him to support you in Golden Lion 2G negotiations. As long as the other party doesn't impose too extreme conditions, it can be passed appropriately. Sengoku ordered the do-rat. Yes, Marshal Sengoku. Compared to Aokiji, Lu Shu's attitude was much more respectful. Phew, I can finally write a report and hand it over to the superiors. After the meeting, Sengoku also wiped the sweat from his forehead. I don't know if it has reached its peak period recently. Various new pirate stars have appeared frequently, and several new pirates with amazing potential have emerged from all over the world. This also gave him a headache. The unknown turmoil within the New World Whitebeard pirates and the new star pirates emerging from all over the world were a big trouble. At this moment, Sha Luo, who was at the center of the incident, was still happily on the boat. Boom! The sudden loud noise scared Sha Luo, who was still eating secretly, and almost spat out his food. Then Nami broke into the kitchen, startling him and Nuo-chi. Sha Luo was still eating, but Nami broke in. Fortunately, he activated Observation Haki's life perception in time to detect Nami's arrival. Sha Luo, come out and take a look. The combination of this ship's cannon and my thunder and lightning is really amazing. Nami ran to him and grabbed him and pulled him out. Fortunately, Sha Luo sorted things out quickly enough and nothing embarrassing happened. Then he dragged Sha Luo all the way to the control room of the main gun, which was the largest on the deck. Wow, the giant battleship sailed forward for an unknown amount of time. Found it. On the deck, Sha Luo, who was chatting with Michida, sensed something from Observation Haki and stood up suddenly, grinning and murmuring. What's wrong, Captain Sha Luo? This move confused Michida, who couldn't help but suddenly became so excited. Are you going to do something here? Thinking of this, Mikita hit her head. Why is her head full of paste recently, and her thoughts are distorted? Mikita, drive in that direction. At this time, Sha Luo suddenly pointed in the direction and said. Good. Nothing could be seen in the thick fog, and Michida didn't know what was ahead that made Sha Luo so excited. But Michida, who has great trust in Sha Luo, has no doubts. According to his instructions, go to the helm to change the direction of sailing. Sha Luo's observation haki has covered a large area of the sea. Just now he sensed that a large number of life forms appeared in a sea area. If he guessed correctly, this direction should be the thriller bark. It was not that he had not sensed life forms during the previous chat, but they were relatively rare and relatively concentrated, so he guessed that they were some humans whose shadows had been cut off by Moria and were wandering in this sea area. But now the range of living things he could sense was relatively large, so he was sure that what he sensed this time was thriller bark. Sure enough, not long after, a black shadow as big as a mountain appeared in front of him. What is this? Sea kings, or islands? At this time, Nami walked out of the cabin and looked at the huge black figure in front of him with a puzzled look. She had just returned to the cabin to catch up on her sleep. As soon as she woke up and turned on observation hotkey to sense the situation, she received a large number of radio waves from life forms and immediately walked from the room to the deck. She thought she had walked out of the Devil's Triangle and reached the next island after sleeping. She didn't expect that there were islands in this area. No, that is a big ship. It is also the culprit of the frequent disappearances of people in the Devil's Triangle over the years, and it descends into the Sea of War, Gecko Moria. The corners of Sha Luo's mouth raised slightly, and she directly told the truth and Moria's name without any pretense. Another 7 warlords of the sea. Need a detour? No, just lean over. Is this your goal too? You're not doing it for the crew of 7 warlords of the sea, right? Just like Sister Robin and Michita. Hearing this, Nami instantly understood what Sha Luo meant. He came to this sea area and was so familiar with it, so he probably came here for the 7 warlords of the sea. But she was not sure what the purpose was. After thinking about the fate of the last Shichibukai crocodile, she casually asked Sha Luo about her intentions. Not entirely. Sha Luo was embarrassed. Nami was really a roundworm in his stomach. Nami was probably one of the people who knew him best on the ship. It's true. Seeing Sha Luo's reaction, Nami slapped her forehead and said helplessly. She just subconsciously asked casually, but Sha Luo's reaction also confirmed her guess. Do you like this kind of plot of stealing crew members? I found that you stole most of the crew members. Nami was a little speechless, but it was a pity that she didn't have the awareness of NTR, otherwise she would have complained about this little yellow-haired Sha Luo. Hee. Sha Luo just smiled. Well, forget it, with your current strength anyway, even the 7 warlords of the sea shouldn't be a threat, it's up to you. Nami ignored him and shook him casually to show that he was too lazy to care. As the distance got closer, the full picture of this huge black shadow was truly revealed in the eyes of Sha Luo and the others. Other crew members in the cabin also felt some movement and walked out of the cabin one after another. What is this place? It's such a big castle in the sea. Everyone asked curiously. The huge black shadow is a giant island ship. It is full of dilapidated and gloomy feelings. It is more like a ghost castle than an island ship. Sha Luo's giant battleship and this island ship are like elephants and ants, cannot be compared at all. The island ship is surrounded by a huge city wall, and there are 4 chains on the city wall connected to the huge mast of the island in the middle. Opposite the front door of the castle is a huge mouth. Thriller Bark seemed to have discovered the existence of Sha Luo. The mouth slowly opened, and the sea currents continued to pour in. Under the trend of the sea currents, it seemed that it was going to destroy Sha Luo's giant battleship. Devour. Of course Sha Luo knew that this was Gecko Moria's method of catching passing ships, but he did not resist and slowly drove into the gate. What appeared in front of everyone's eyes was an island wrapped in a broken small wall, with a faint shadow of a large castle in the center. It looks like some kind of monster lives here. There are also some dilapidated pirate ships covered with spider webs on the shore. They should be pirates who were in trouble here, but in the end they failed to escape from here and were mercilessly devoured by the island ships. Sha Luo's warship stopped at the coast. After anchoring, the whole group landed on the island. As soon as he landed on the beach, Sha Luo sensed a life form approaching rapidly. Be careful, the owner here has noticed us, there are 10 guys approaching us quickly. Before Sha Luo could say anything, Nami was the first to speak out. Her radio perception was more sensitive than Sha Luo's, and she knew it from a long distance away. A few minutes later, everyone present showed strange expressions. Nami shook her body even more, and approached Sha Luo with some fear and hugged his arm. Hey, Sha Luo, do you think there are such things as ghosts in this world? There won't be any ghosts. This gloomy environment and weird atmosphere, coupled with the empty air in front of me, but I sensed an object in front of me. As a member of the original timid trio, even though Nami has become stronger, her character has not changed in 2 years. She is still afraid of ghosts when she should be afraid, and she has not thought about the issue of demon fruit power at all. Well, there are ghosts and so on. No matter what there is in this world, it won't be strange. Sha Luo found it very interesting and couldn't help but speak. Absalom, who was in front of everyone, stared at the beautiful girls with different styles in front of him, and then saw Sha Luo surrounded by the girls. The fire of jealousy was burning in his heart, and he didn't pay attention to Kaku in the corner. Lu Qi and Bluno are also men. Especially Nami, who was holding Sha Luo's arm, always felt a little excited, so he ordered a doctor for Sha Luo. "Oh, don't come here." When Sha Luo said this, Nami's face turned green with fright. After sensing Absalom's approach, he raised his hand and fired a railgun. The huge electric current overwhelmed the transparent fruit ability user, and then a huge firework exploded in the dark forest behind him. Poor Absalom sent it without leaving a single line. The dazzling white lightning gradually dissipated, and Nami slowly withdrew her hand. There was a ravine on the ground, and then there were the scorched marks of being bombed. A body that exuded the aroma of meat fell down in front of everyone. Is this an orc? Is this the guy in front of us just now? When Nami saw the fallen body clearly, he made a sound of surprise, and a question mark popped up on his head. Absalom looks really weird. He has a mouth like a tiger, but his body is like a normal human being. It's probably Gecko Moria's masterpiece. Next, be careful with your own shadow. This Shichibukai's fruit ability is the shadow fruit. He can cut other people's shadows and put them on the corpse to turn into a zombie, and he can possess the Shadow Master's personality and combat ability or extremely tricky abilities. Sha Luo briefly introduced Gecko Moria's abilities, and then told Lu Qi, "Lu Qi, the three of you go to the front to explore the situation first, and report any problems in a timely manner." "Yes, Captain Sha Luo." The 3 tool men didn't have any complaints and disappeared instantly after responding. "Let's go too. Gecko Moria will probably also suffer the death of his own crew." "News, hurry up," quote, touched Nami's long orange hair, and then said to everyone. Then everyone headed towards the ghost castle in the center of the 3-masted ship. "Captain Sha Luo, you seem to be very interested in this Gecko Moria. Do you want to recruit him on board?" While walking on the road, Reiju asked a question. Sha Luo seemed to be very optimistic about the ability of Gecko Moria. Reminiscent of his previous attitude towards strong men, Reiju felt that Sha Luo wanted to recruit these strong men to his staff, which was the case with Crocodile before. However, the other party did not agree and was nowhere to be seen from behind. It could be seen that he did not value the strong ones more. She thought that if Enel's fruit hadn't been just right for Nami, Sha Luo would have recruited her as her crew. "Well, I do have some ideas. The things Moria has been studying here over the years are very interesting. If used well, they can form a force that cannot be underestimated in the future." Sha Luo was a little surprised by Reiju's inquiry. She had indeed thought about recruiting Gecko Moria, but she didn't expect Reiju to notice it. Haha, it seems that Captain Sha Luo is not only interested in beauties, but also in recruiting strong men under his command. Reiju chuckled softly as if he had discovered Sha Luo's little secret. Why are the auras of Lu Qi and the 3 of them stuck in front of them? There is no other aura of life. What happened? Nami was a little confused and said that only Lu Qi and the other 2 people came back from his perception of the color wave, but they stopped moving. What exactly did they find? I didn't see Bluno open the door and come back to report. Sha Luo, who didn't even detect the person with Nami's radio wave perception, had already guessed who was in front, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. "Let's go up and have a look too." Everyone speeded up and rushed forward. The scene at the scene made Khalifa, a CP9, cover her eyes not to look at the 3 people and said that she did not recognize these people. Negative negative, negative negative, accompanied by a strange voice. Lu Qi and Kaku were seen kneeling on the ground in an OTZ posture. Bluno even curled up into a ball with his hands and feet together, and several ghosts were constantly passing through their bodies. "I'm sorry, I actually permed my hair into fluffy curls. I will never have this weird beard again, Private Marseille. My nose became so long because of lying. It's really private. Ah, if there is an afterlife, I will make a shell." If there is a hole, I would really like to crawl into it. It looks like a newborn horse, a really private horse. A negative atmosphere was visible to the naked eye, and the three of them also spoke extremely negative words. No wonder Khalifa acted like he didn't recognize them. KK, KK. There was a sudden burst of weird laughter in the Black Forest, but judging from the sound, it sounded like a very cute girl. What's it this time? A ghost. At this time, Nami already knew that this must be due to the demon fruit power. The transparent fruit ability user just now also made her understand that most of the things that sat on the strange fruit were ability tickets. The owner of the laughter in the forest did not answer Nami's question, but kept making weird laughter. At this time, Sha Luo's face suddenly darkened, as if she was suddenly ill, and then she laughed even louder. Gia. At this time, Sha Luo looked like a villain, and Perona seemed to be frightened, and she didn't even dare to make a sound. Only Sha Luo's laughter echoed in the forest. What's wrong with you? Nami looked at Sha Luo helplessly and asked. No, seeing her smiling so happily, I couldn't help but laugh with him. Sha Luo returned her a big smile. Humph, Captain Sha Luo is so interesting. Reiju covered her mouth and smiled. Kaya, Vivi and the Sky Island girls all had the same expression. At this time, Perona is still sleeping in the castle, but her soul has left her body and is observing Sha Luo in the forest. Are you the human who killed Absalom? Perona floated out of the forest and looked at Sha Luo, who was surrounded by several women, and asked. Is this guy? It looks like a very tricky devil fruit ability. Sha Luo, what should I do now? The real owner appeared, and Karina looked at Perona in the air very carefully. She could float in the air like Sha Luo, and she could also hit Lucci and others to such an extent. This had to make her pay attention to Perona herself, whose gestures were ready to activate her abilities at any time. However, Sha Luo beside her disappeared in a flash. Where is the man just now? Where did he go? Perona looked at Sha Luo, who was standing among the women just now, and disappeared in the blink of an eye, and couldn't help but asked curiously. Then a palm patted her shoulder. Wow, ghost. When Perona turned around and saw Sha Luo with a big smile on her face, she was immediately frightened by her unique protruding eyeballs. After screaming, he fainted and fell to the ground. Quote ? Ha, she is obviously Princess Mononoke, but she is so timid. This is not okay. After seeing Perona being frightened and fainting, a question mark popped up in Sha Luo's head, and then she laughed twice and hugged the fainted Perona. This kind of psychological quality is comparable to that of the timid trio in the original work, but she is still Princess Mononoke. Is it this little girl who did this to the three of them? Nami looked at Perona who fainted in Sha Luo's arms with some curiosity. She didn't expect that the other person looked so small, but she was well developed. Well, don't look at her like a little girl. In fact, she is 1 year older than Reiju. Real or fake? Nami looked at Perona in disbelief. She really didn't expect that this seemingly young girl was actually 5 years older than her. Captain Sha Luo, what are you going to do with these little girls? Kaku asked with a black line on his head. The three of them recovered from their frustrated state, and Kaku lowered the brim of his peaked cap so that others could not see his face clearly. Perona, carry her aboard the ship. She will be our crew member from now on. Sha Luo Kaido without thinking. Crew. Hearing Sha Luo's reply, Kaku's face lowered even further, while Lucci, like him, lowered his top hat and lowered his head. I really want to die. Blueno's originally calm face without a hat was now wrinkled. Superior. Balsam Pear. After hearing that it was a crew member, his face was full of black lines. PFF'd ha. Sha Luo laughed out loud. The three people who recovered from their negative state somehow became more negative. Their heads were covered with black lines and their shoulders were pulled straight. Captain Sha Luo, I feel a little uncomfortable. Let's go back to the ship first. Lucci said despite his embarrassment. Me too. Kaku and Blueno agreed. Ha. Go ahead. Sha Luo waved his hand to express his casualness, but the appearance of these three people was so funny and inconsistent with their usual personalities that Sha Luo couldn't help laughing again. Sha Luo's permission allowed the three of them to burst out and disappear in front of several people at a speed several times faster than usual. This situation did not look uncomfortable, laughing. Captain Sha Luo, how are you going to recruit this ghost girl this time? Judging from her appearance, she will inevitably make a scene when she wakes up. After Lu Qi and the others had gone away, Reiju asked Sha Luo. Well, first we have to defeat Gecko Moria. After Moria joins, won't his crew belong to me? What Sha Luo said is self-righteous. My crew members are mine, and the crew members of my subordinates are still mine. This is not too much. Adhering to this idea, he did not consider whether Gecko Moria would agree or not. By himself had just killed him 1,000 times. But he is familiar with kidnapping people, so in the worst case, he will tie them on the boat first, just like Nami and others, they will become familiar with it later. Haha, you are indeed Captain Sha Luo. Reiju chuckled twice, not sure whether he was praising him or hurting him. After arriving at the castle, he was not in a hurry to see Moria first. Instead, he first found the body of the little ghost, then stuffed her soul into it and then picked up the body again and headed towards Moria's location. The feeling of having a physical body is just different, and it is much more comfortable to hold. With the help of some observation hockey, we quickly arrived at the hall where Gecko Moria was. Hey, are you the pirates who broke into this place? You can actually pass the test of Absalom and Perona. You don't look like ordinary pirates. Gecko Moria soon discovered the arrival of Sha Luo and others. He was sitting on the sofa in the center of the room, with the candlelight elongating his shadow and a unique laugh coming from his mouth. As soon as Sha Luo came in, she saw the dim lights, Gecko Moria's huge body, and the scarlet fierce light that could only be seen in the dim eyes. I have to say that the first appearance of these characters is full of energy, but it is a rare parallel import. When he was young, he had strength that was comparable to that of young Kaido. He was very good in swordsmanship, physical skills and fruit abilities. Unfortunately, he fell after that big defeat. The unreliability of his subordinates made him lose in that battle. In the end, his will also weakened, and he became a useless person who only relied on the help of others. Even his catchphrase became, "Leave it to you, Sae," which shows how seriously he has fallen. However, his men were very loyal and respectful to him. Gecko Moria, once a famous pirate, has fallen like this due to the defeat in the battle with Kaido. Have you lost the will to be strong? Are you willing to fall like this? Sha Luo said in a calm tone. He planned to use his words to stimulate the bad guy first, and then, wake him up, from the front. Boy, who do you think Laozi is? You dare to act wild in front of Laozi. After hearing Sha Luo's words, Moria stood up, her tone also a little angry. His huge body added a lot of pressure to him, especially in the environment of this ghost castle. Hey, your strength should be very good, so I will accept your shadow. Hey, let's fight it first before that. Shadow Mage. The originally angry Moria suddenly calmed down. He sat back down again after being lazy and doing nothing for many years. As soon as he raised his hand, a shadow clone emerged from his shadow. Shadow clone has the same body shape as Gecko Moria, but is made of shadow, but it is immune to most damage. He has become accustomed to others handling things for him. Even if his subordinates are defeated, there is another self who will help him handle things. And he himself was lying leisurely on the sofa watching the show. If this continues, I'm afraid you won't even be able to stand up. Sha Luo frowned. Moria's body shape can be described as a ball. Except for the neck, it has a ball-shaped body. The long legs in the past have now become short legs. Hey, kid, first defeat my clones. I will cut out all your shadows and make them into zombies. This way I will have more admirals. Moria laughed coldly, holding her long big head on her hands. The Shadow Mage waved his huge palm towards them. Just when he was about to take the shot, Sha Luo's figure disappeared, and then a green superior, a colored barrier stood in front of the Shadow Mage. Clang! The shadow claws and the barrier made the sound of gold and iron. And Sha Luo has already arrived in front of Moria. Moria looked at Sha Luo who flashed in front of her and made a surprised sound, her eyes widened, and Kakuzu bent down even with her raised mouth. But his smile did not disappear, but moved to Sha Luo's face. I saw Sha Luo looking at him with a smile, her fist already covered with armament hockey, and then she raised her fist and landed on Moria's belly, which was bigger than Sha Luo's whole body. This punch directly dented his stomach, and terrifying airflow was distributed from his back where he was hit. Moria shattered the sofa, and her entire body shot through the walls and flew out. All the candles and lights in the room were extinguished or shattered in the strong wind. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.